Hello, everyone. Okay, how are we doing today? Yeah, looking good, looking good. All right, wicked. Still have a bit of a cold, but I'm still doing activism. All right, let's teach some more people about suffering and why it's unacceptable. All right, we've got someone in the queue. Let's get started. The first debate is coming up now. In 3, 2. Hello.
Hello. There's
How you
no
doing?
evidence suffering is even bad.
There's no evidence that suffering is
Suffering's
bad.
not even bad. It's not even bad. Don't you know that all enhancements so far in the species have been produced by suffering? All of them.
So
All of
if
them.
you were,
And that the primary catalyst of greatness is the capacity to overcome pain and suffering, and that's the most heroic attribute a person can have.
why,
I just think you're a coward.
why is that the most heroic attribute?
Because it's hard.
So that's the limit
Because
of
it's
your
hard.
intelligence. If it's hard, then it's good. That's how your brain works.
No, that's not what's being said.
Well, maybe your brain is a bit hard. Drank too much alcohol or something. Okay, hello. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. You?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
So, why do you think we should extinct our life?
So that they don't have to suffer. So that there's no more unfair cruelty, lives of hell, right? Bad lives. It's not fair.
But like, you're acting as if suffering is only bad. You
Of
feel
course
me?
it is.
But like, as the other guy said, yeah, suffering is what makes us, not only us, but like life in general forces us to adapt, which makes
Right,
us.
but what about extreme suffering, right? You're thinking about like studying at school and stuff. So you're not thinking about all of the bad suffering, the really bad
Well,
suffering.
not only that, I'm also like talking about suffering that can like take
Yeah,
life.
we don't really care about suffering that can help you, right? That's not relevant when we're talking about the victims of extreme suffering. In fact, it just comes off as incredibly selfish when we're talking about, animals being abused and you saying that suffering is actually a good thing, that it helps you, when, being tortured to death obviously does not help you, right? You're being very disrespectful to the victims of suffering.
So you're just cherry picking then,
How am I cherry picking?
because you're just taking one aspect of suffering to
Well,
judge.
no, it's an example of why suffering is unacceptable and we can't allow it, right? If there's really terrible things, we shouldn't allow them, right? So there's lots of examples of terrible things we shouldn't allow, and extinction is the only way to actually prevent them, like bad lives.
Yeah, I think you're rage baiting, but whatever.
So you have no counter argument. He's left by his own accord. Very classic. Most people can't really debate against extinction, so they will dodge and leave. Hello, how you doing?
Yo, what's good, bro? You good, yeah?
Yeah, good, man.
Good, good. So, to be honest, right? To be completely honest, from my point of view, I do agree that the human nature is horrible, but I just don't understand how this, because it says in your prompt it stops all suffering, and you're talking
Yeah.
about like animals, living creatures, obviously things that can feel pain, so on.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to understand is, let's say that human beings did just go extinct, right?
Yeah.
These animals are still gonna hunt each other and make each other suffering
Yeah, that's
and
why
make
we
each
have
other
to
suffer.
we
Sorry,
have to
sorry,
do
but
them
what
as
I'm
well. Yeah, we
yeah,
do the
sorry.
animals too.
Are you doing the animals too?
Yeah.
Okay, well, oh, you said total extinction. You didn't just say of the human race. You mean total extinction of everything, actually?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you plan on even achieving that?
So we're growing the movement to make it possible until we have enough people to carry it out, basically. We've got hundreds of people joining the movement from around the world, people that realize that suffering is unacceptable and we have to stop it.
But realistically, do you do you believe in like evolution? So if my hypothetical is, even if you did do that, what stops the process happening again of
Well,
evolution?
yeah,
Just really
so
clear.
we have to prevent it from happening again with science, basically.
And how do you plan on doing that?
By doing the science and finding ways to do it.
Right. What's the science behind it, though?
Well, like biology, for example, right? That was
Yeah,
one
but
of the
like,
main
what's
sciences.
yeah, but what in particular, bro?
Why are you asking?
Because I'm wondering how you're planning on completing this. I mean, I'll join the cause, if I know how you're gonna do it.
Well, no, we don't want people that need to know how to do it. We want people that are flexible and are going to
Yeah,
help support whichever method is
yeah,
best and not say, oh, I don't like that method, I like this one. So we have to support the best way to
yeah.
do it and determining which way is best and then doing it.
So
So
the best way to do it. So the
for
best way to
anyone
do
that's
it.
going to obsess over the method,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's obviously something wrong with them.
Mm,
It's more about,
yeah,
the ends justifying the means,
yeah.
not the means.
So there's multiple ways to do it, but you can't tell me one way to do it.
Well, yeah, euthanasia, putting people to sleep, right?
Okay, and how's that gonna make everyone extinct?
Well, if you get everyone, then the species goes extinct.
By being asleep.
No, so
By being asleep, bro. Yeah.
putting people to
Yo.
okay, so putting people to sleep means making sure that they're not alive anymore.
Oh, so how are you planning on doing that?
Whichever way is necessary.
Yeah, and how are you planning on getting the arms for that then?
By growing the movement.
Yeah, but how are you planning on getting the arms? I don't think we can manufacture that many arms.
Well, but we'll just find a way, right? So.
Oh
we'll
yeah,
figure
yo.
something out.
All right, yeah, bro. Sweet. All right, thank you, bro.
All right, thank you, Charlie. Okay, moving on. We have more people in the queue. Let's keep going. Moving on. Okay, we do not have anybody in the queue, so let's get some more challenges.
Each root word can
Hello?
be
Hello.
5 words.
Yeah, do you have any
10 words.
questions?
I have a good question.
Yeah, hi, bro.
So if there's so many different meaning.
Okay, moving on. Right, if anybody wants to debate, let's get you in the queue. Let's get you on the stage. Let's talk it out. So for extinctionists, the main reason we're doing this and growing the movement to forcefully carry out total extinction is to put everyone out of their misery, right? To put the animals and the people out of their misery and to make sure that there is no more misery ever again. So, most people don't care if suffering exists, but, it shouldn't be allowed, right? We shouldn't allow suffering anymore. And the only reason people want to allow, the unlucky in the world to be tortured is so that they can, continue to benefit, right? So, look, I debated someone recently and I asked him, would you allow someone to be tortured for their entire life just so that you can continue to live? Because I don't think I'd be able to live with myself knowing that I was selfishly continuing to live at the direct expense of somebody being tortured horrifically every second of every day for their entire life. I wouldn't be able to just, put that out of my mind and forget it. So, that's what you need to be asking yourself. Would you allow someone to be tortured for their entire life just so that you can continue to live? And if the answer is no, then why should anyone else be allowed to do that? Why should we allow people to allow animals and people to be tortured for their entire life just so that they can continue to live at their expense, right? If you can agree that you wouldn't do it, then why should other people be able to do it, right? And look, it's an irresponsible mentality and perspective on the world that allows suffering, doesn't care about suffering. So, when people are saying, suffering's, we can solve it in different ways and stuff, they actually just don't care about the suffering at all, right? When people say, let's reduce suffering or let's solve suffering in different ways, it's because they don't care about suffering, right? So when they say reduce suffering, solve it in different ways, ultimately, they don't care if it never gets solved, right? So the people saying, let's reduce suffering instead of ending it, they couldn't care less if the suffering never reduces, never gets better. They just simply don't care. So the whole reducing suffering argument, it's literally like saying, I could not care less. If it gets better, if it gets worse, I don't care. But, we can reduce it maybe. If that never works, then who cares, basically? So they'll never be prepared to actually use the real solution, which is extinction, right? They'll never be prepared to actually do the right thing, and they would allow infinite suffering for infinite individuals for infinite time, because extinction is bad, right? So even if it is the only solution, which it is, then they will never support it. So we can't allow that mentality to continue, right? Look, you have two types of mentalities in this world. You have people that say that exploiting animals and torturing them for food is acceptable. Children being abused is acceptable. Animal abuse is acceptable. All of the suffering in the world is acceptable. It's worth it, right? And then you have extinctionists that say, no, a child being tortured to death, that's what could possibly justify that in this world? Who's having such a good life that it justifies, people and animals and children being tortured for their entire life? Nobody, right? So you wouldn't agree for someone to be tortured for their entire life for you. So why should anyone else be able to do that? Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. So, who defines what suffering is?
There's lots of dictionaries, like online ones as well, that you can check out. You've got Merriam-Webster.
Well, I think that's a
Oxford
perception. I
Dictionary.
think that's a personal perception of what suffering is. So, if you look at non-technology tribes in South America and Africa, would you say they're suffering, or were they just living the way they want to live?
Obviously, there's going to be individuals who are suffering, even if there are other individuals which aren't.
So that's just a perception from an outside looking in.
Well, no, it's a fact. It's a scientific.
If they don't feel like they're suffering,
it's a scientific fact that life does suffer, and yet there might be a few who aren't suffering at the moment. But those that are babies with terminal cancer are probably suffering.
So would you say it's more logical to put people asleep that are suffering and not put people asleep that are not suffering?
No, we shouldn't treat the problem. We should prevent it, right? If you treat it, then you're allowing infinite suffering, cruelty, right? In the same way that, arresting somebody that's murdered a child doesn't help that child, right? Only prevention would actually help them.
But I don't feel like I'm suffering or I cause other people to suffer.
So do you think it's that only your opinion matters? Because, so for a lot of people, it's like we're trying to say, look, there's extreme cruelty going on in the world. We shouldn't allow it. And for you to say, well, I'm not suffering, so who cares about anyone else? Do you not think that's like really selfish?
No, because in my life, my feelings are really the only thing that matters in my life. Now,
so if somebody was abusing a child in front of you, would you care?
Yes.
But if they do it around the corner and you can't see it, would you still care?
But genetic defects and death is
dodging that question.
Are you talking about extincting the whole planet? Like every animal, everything?
So again, would you care if a child was being abused around the corner out of sight?
Yes.
So do you currently care? Are you worried about it right now?
Yes, but I can only really.
And what are you doing about it? What is that worry doing? How's that manifesting in terms of action and motivating you to do something?
Well,
or are you just lying? Are you just making?
In my own life, I've kind of prided myself on picking on bullies.
Right. Look, this guy is just dodging every single question, and this is essentially what everyone watching should be looking out for. Okay, so keep watching out. Just pay attention closely to when people dodge questions, and ask yourself why they're dodging that question. So hello, how you doing? Hello. Look, she's dodging my question. Hello, how are you? She won't answer. She can't answer. She can't debate.
My bad. I didn't even know I was up here. Yay! I've been watching for a while. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really well. Thank you so much for making this channel. I so appreciate you. I love the light in your eyes. I love your motive behind it against extincting all the suffering that is unnecessary. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I was thinking, have you been thinking about like the AI, like what it could possibly do in the next 20, 30 years? It's been a lot of proclamators, people who have been saying like in the next 10 to 20 years will be extinct with the way that it is going. Do you believe that?
We're hoping so. Yeah, we're hoping
Yes,
that,
I know. Amen.
we're hoping that
Okay.
AI will make us go extinct. Yeah, absolutely. That's the hope. That's the plan.
Yes.
So we're going to be
Okay.
supporting that, right? If it's going to happen,
Yes.
our movement is going to be supporting it, trying to encourage the AI to cause extinction. To wipe everything out.
Okay. And I was thinking, okay, that could be like a Terminator thing. Or do you think it could be like an AI like making a virus thing? Or which way do you think it could go?
It could be a virus, it could be anything, right? But we should leave it to the science to determine that. So we will have extinctionist scientists,
Yes.
and they will be figuring out what the best way to do it is.
And the water, have you been following the data centers where it's like tainting it? Have you been excited about that like me?
Yes, it's great. More data centers, the better, right? Less forest,
Yes.
less suffering. So, replace all of it with, data centers for the entire planet, right? No animals suffering, just robots
Yes.
and computers, right? That would be the dream.
Yes, amen. And with your knowledge and with your wisdom and expertise, would you think it's less than 20 years or more than 20 years till that comes?
It's difficult to say, right? There's so many factors involved, right? You've got AI, you've got genetics improving at the minute, you've got the movement growing, you've got AI, the singularity on the horizon. So we don't know. We just have to do our best to try and make extinction happen.
Okay. And do you think that will make, because I'm worried about like, I know like you're not about the Bible or anything, but like what if they have somebody in bunkers or DNA that is saved?
Well, we will get some spades and shovels and we will dig them out of the bunkers and
Okay.
we will put them out of their misery.
Amen. Okay.
Because look, these bunkers, these Jeffrey Epstein bunkers are going to be full of children getting abused, right? The billionaires are going to take loads of children down with them. So yeah, we gotta get them out of there.
Yes. Okay. So you don't believe in heaven or hell. Do you just believe in just energy exchange?
Yeah, we believe you rest in peace. There is nothing, just like before you were born.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for coming up. What a lovely and polite conversation. We need more conversations like that, right? Less trolls, less horrible people. All right, so let's get some more people in the queue. Hopefully some nice people with nice things to say. Lots of support and encouragement for protecting innocence from suffering. Hello.
Hello. I have
How
a
you doing?
question about what happened with that person that you were talking about. He was talking something about that happened to his. He was saying that something happened to his face, like the dog bit into his face. What was the final
That's right.
conclusion?
That's right. Yeah. Now, Sarin, I'm going to disconnect you because your microphone is like really, really bad. But before I started this stream, I was doing like another live stream with somebody else who wanted to, interview me basically. Now, partially I kind of regret doing it. It was only about half an hour, kind of a waste of time because ultimately it spiraled into debate and straw manning and dodging questions. So I just left basically after about half an hour. But ultimately that's going to happen with pretty much anyone a lot of the time. So it's not really an unexpected outcome. Okay, we've got Nuance Enjoyer in the queue. That sounds like an intelligent
Hey, what's
name.
going on?
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Just joined. I don't really know what this is about. I'm vegan. Is this about veganism?
Loosely associated in some ways, right? So let me explain. So you've got, the anti-slavery movement, you've got veganism, you've got all of these movements, but there's never been a movement to end all suffering, right? Instead of just ending animal suffering or farmed animal suffering. So the pro-extinction movement is finally here to end all suffering. So farmed animal suffering, wild animal suffering, human suffering, all life, basically, to make sure that there is no cruelty ever again.
So what does this entail? Just like making pit bulls and lions and those kind of things extinct? So the
No,
predators?
everything, absolutely everything. So even bacteria, right? Because if you leave them, they will evolve into more complex life and suffer again.
So are you pro eugenics for humans then as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I feel like there's more specifics here. What's the main thing that
So
I know you said
the
everything, but if you
yeah.
can get into more specifics.
The objective is the most vast and thorough extinction scientifically and physically possible, right? To do the most prevention of life existing possible. And so to that end, we support humans continuing to reproduce temporarily while we work towards doing a proper extinction. So the more humans we have, the less wild animals will actually suffer because we're taking their habitat and making sure that there is nothing there which can suffer. And the sooner, the more scientists we'll have, for example, meaning that, the more powerful we are, the more we progress, the more humans we have, the sooner we can do a proper extinction for animals and other life. And if we allow humanity to decline in population now, then we're risking animal extinction. We're risking humanity going extinct and animals continuing to suffer for billions of more years. So yeah, we're working towards the best, the most intelligent extinction possible and beyond Earth if we can.
So are you for extincting specific like dog breeds, for instance? Or are you for extincting entire species that
Just everything, literally everything, with no
you're being
exception.
too vague. So
Well,
like
no, I'm trying to
do you
be
want
more inclusive. So,
can you give me an example of a type of animal that you want to go extinct?
I mean, all of them, right? What don't you understand?
So you want dogs to go extinct, all dogs?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not being serious. Okay.
Okay, what's wrong with dog extinction? No counter argument detected there, bro. Your shock and bemusement is not an argument, right? Believe it or not. And yeah, a lot of people struggle to debate against extinction, and they'll just leave like that guy did because they have no counter argument. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, James. Just to understand your position, should we all unalive ourselves?
No, so we need to end all suffering, not just our own, right? We have to help those who can't help themselves first. So the plan is to grow the movement with peaceful activism until we have enough people to start running the world ethically, and then start to do animal extinction and researching universe-wide extinction as well, or however much we can, if it's just the galaxy, or if we can do the universe, or if we can only do Earth. So we have to keep reproducing, and the more humans, the better. So we need a healthy and large population of humans working on intelligently doing the science to make extinction happen. So, humans unaliving themselves or not having children doesn't actually work towards extinction, right? That doesn't help animals. It doesn't help other people's children. They're going to keep reproducing. So you have to do a forceful total extinction with active solutions, not passive solutions like unaliving yourself or not having kids.
So should we take out the animals first before we decide what we do with ourselves?
Yeah, basically.
So, and if extinction is the answer, what do you think of evolution just recreating life again?
Yeah, so we should try and prevent that from happening. Make the world uninhabitable.
Do you think we can get rid of all the minerals, particles, chemicals that create life?
We don't know. We just have to do as much as we can, do the best that we can, and discover how far we can take it.
Do you think it would be a good example for your case to unalive yourself to show everyone that you're serious?
How would that help?
Well, I mean, you speak of extincting life. Why don't you extinct your own life?
So what do you What do you
Just to
think?
show and prove. Just to show and prove how
What do you
serious
think
you
the
are about
word
your position.
extinct means? Right? You think
Extinct means you wipe out everything.
does it?
So
Does
basically, you
extinct
wipe out
apply to
yourself.
individuals?
So basically, if you wipe out yourself, you're teaching us that you're dead serious and you're willing to, stand 10 toes down on what you believe. I say, why don't you just extinct yourself and prove to us that you're serious about your position?
I'd rather find a different way to prove that I'm serious about it.
That would be the very best position, way to cement your position, wouldn't
I
it?
can actually educate people, right? I can make informative videos.
So you
right?
are okay to be alive, but not everyone else.
Well, we have to help end all suffering, not just our own.
And what gave you this insane idea that you're the one that can decide this?
Just thought about it for a bit, and came to this conclusion.
Okay, then why don't you prove to all of us that you're very serious about your position by ending yourself?
Because then I can't continue to do activism, and that's better. Basically, it's better to keep doing.
Isn't this activism a movement of many people?
Yeah, and so the more the better, the less.
So your
the
loss
worse,
wouldn't
right?
be felt at all.
Well, I would probably be forgotten about pretty quickly.
No, wouldn't you
and-
be a martyr? Wouldn't you be a martyr for this case?
No, because we don't actually encourage people ending their own life. We encourage them actually actively helping others instead of, just doing that, right? That
Well,
doesn't
wouldn't you
actually
be
help
helping
others.
people? Wouldn't you be helping people agree?
That's going to encourage people to just take their own lives instead of helping other people. So that's just, the guy's obviously, belongs in a mental asylum. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, James. I just wanted to let you know that I'm willing to carry the torch for you if you prove to us by killing yourself. I will carry the torch. I will carry the torch for you. So don't even worry about it being forgotten about. I'm right here for you.
Okay, so what kind of tribute am I going to receive?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what's going to happen is if you prove to us, I will hold a ceremony. Okay, I'm not even joking. It'll be a public ceremony in your name, in remembrance. And then from there, since I know you're serious, I will carry the mission on. I will advocate until someone is ready to take my place, and then I will kill myself.
Okay, yeah. No, I don't think that would work.
But I'm willing to solve the problem you just proposed. That if you're not here, who can carry the torch on? I'm doing that. I'm that guy.
Well, no, I'll just carry on the torch myself. So nice try, but I'm not falling for that one. Someone got me with that last week, and I, ended up unaliving myself. But I came back. Hello, how you doing?
Hi. Just to sort of ask a question because I'm intrigued. Why? I'm just wondering, kind of, why suffering is kind of the most important, or kind of the only metric that is kind of viewed as the main one in a sense.
Well, unless you have a zero tolerance policy on extreme suffering, right, then you're allowing it. So it's about not allowing cruelty, not allowing extreme suffering and forcing others to suffer horrifically. So it's as simple as saying that that shouldn't be allowed.
Well, I guess because I don't know, maybe I'm just not enlightened or whatever yet. But is there not anything that could outweigh a certain level? Is there nothing in your book that can sort of get to that stage?
Oh, right. So no, the thing is that it's actually impossible to make life 100% safe. So the thing is that you would require omniscience to do that, because as long as there are unknowns, then there is infinite danger and infinite unknowns as well. So the standard for life existing would require certainty of safety, and that's only possible if you know everything and can actually guarantee safety. So extinction is the only way to prevent suffering. Even if you went into a simulation or something, if it's not 100% safe, you could end up being tortured for billions of years. So, we have to have higher standards for safety. Otherwise, all of this extreme suffering will carry on because people are not being responsible with safety.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That was all. So, thank you.
All right, thank you for coming up. And, in terms of, being trapped in a simulation, suffering for a long time, this probably will happen, right? If you guys have seen Black Mirror, the TV show, right? It happens, right? They put people's brains inside of a thing and torture them for millions of years, basically. So that probably will happen unless we stop it, right? Or at the very least, it could happen unless somebody's trying to stop it. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, I'm just gonna I wanna ask you like what do you think about the afterlife? Like what if you
Doesn't
die and then you
exist. There is none.
Okay, but
Rest in
do you
peace.
think do you think all your how do you know this? How can you guarantee
We don't. We that's just the way that
because look
science shows the world to work. So if there's evidence of an afterlife, we can look at it. But until then, we have no reason to believe in one.
okay. But I think your argument it's like obviously the only way to stop suffering is just total extinction. I think that's obvious, but I don't think it should be that. Because obviously
Why not?
because suffering isn't all that bad. Like
But
I know you're
so
gonna
should we allow extreme suffering though?
what like give me an example.
Okay, like violently raping a baby to death.
Well, obviously not, but we can reduce that. We can
So
like
would you reduce
I
slavery
think-
or would you end slavery?
look. You're saying that suffering has like infinite moral value, basically. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I'm saying that we shouldn't allow people to rape babies to death.
Obviously.
You're saying we shouldn't, ban that. We should just reduce it.
Yeah, because that's the only thing we can do.
Well,
Without
no, we can make it impossible with extinction.
yeah, again, that's why it brings forward. If you like, whether you think suffering is like has infinite moral value.
Let me ask you: do you think raping babies to death violently is something we should allow to be possible?
Well, obviously no.
Well, then how else can you do that without extinction?
Yeah, but that's just too. That's
Well,
just too much of a
you
like.
can't have your cake and eat it, right? You can't say, yeah, we should make it impossible, but then say, but I don't agree with making it impossible.
Yeah, but no, because you're just going by like total. Like, that's like saying, would you rather have babies get raped or just kill all of humanity?
Look, you can choose to support one path out of two, right? One has the impossibility of child abuse, and one allows for child abuse. Which would you prefer?
Well, obviously but that's just not that's just framing. That's
I'm
just
asking you to think about this is a real option, right? So it's not just framing, it's not this. Yes, we should not allow child abuse and animal abuse, extreme suffering, right? You're saying we should allow it. Hello? No, he's left. Fair enough. Okay, moving on. We've got more people coming up next. We have Lifeless Dead. This should be interesting. Coming on to the extinction zone in 3, 2. No, they're not loading. They disconnected. But that's okay. We've got Jack Simmons in the queue. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, James.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good to hear that. Is extinctionism a naturalist philosophy?
No, it's not a philosophy. It's a movement and an ideology.
Okay. Are you a naturalist?
I don't get naked on the beach, if that's what you're asking. No.
Not what I meant, but okay. So last time you said suffering is bad because people experience it as bad, correct?
Yeah.
So suffering is dependent on the wants of humanity. Or sorry, morality is dependent on the wants of humanity.
I mean, look, a lot of people are asking, like, is morality subjective or objective? And I think that we don't have all the answers yet, but ultimately, if there are no people, then there's going to be no morality. So
Yeah, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, is morality dependent on the wants, on the desires, the intrinsic desires of humanity?
It's dependent on intelligence, basically, and rationality and logic and compassion and empathy.
Okay, so explain why suffering is bad according to logic.
Yeah, we don't need to. It's just obvious, right? So if you've ever suffered, then you know it's bad for you. It's painful. It's horrible. You don't want it, right? So
then what I'm trying to say is You're agreeing that morality is dependent on the intrinsic desires of humans.
It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. It's very simple. You don't need philosophy to say that extreme suffering is unacceptable.
No, you do need philosophy because
no, you don't. Look, let me prove it. Is child abuse bad?
Child abuse is bad under my moral view, but the word bad and the word good is dependent on morality.
Should we allow child abuse or ban it, or continue to make it illegal, considering that it's only subjectively bad in your opinion?
I mean, it depends on. I think that we should take a collective morality.
Should child abuse be illegal?
Under my moral view, yes.
Okay, so yeah, it's as simple as that. Extreme suffering should not be allowed.
Under my moral view, correct.
Look, you've got sadists who think suffering should be allowed. You've got good people that think that suffering shouldn't be allowed. So yeah, different people have different opinions.
Okay, so let's just go over this again. Why is suffering bad?
It's just obviously bad.
Well, that's not a justification.
We don't need to justify why suffering is bad.
You do need to justify suffering is bad. If you're saying
so look, I don't need to do it with you, right? You've already said that child abuse is bad. So who exactly is it that we're talking about here? Because obviously it's not you.
We're talking about
you agree child abuse is bad. I do as well. So who is it that we need to educate on why child abuse is bad? How is that a good use of time?
Because I'm trying to get you to agree to a naturalist ethic, saying that the intrinsic desires of humans is what determines morality. If we can agree on that,
who cares? Who cares? How does this help? How is this relevant? Why is it
because
important?
so what I've been trying to tell you is once we agree on this, we can see that because humans intrinsically desire life, even a life of suffering over a life of death and no suffering, that means that humans intrinsically desire life, and extinction is the worst possible outcome.
But they don't all get life.
That doesn't matter. Humans intrinsically want life.
So if there are victims, it just doesn't matter.
No, that just doesn't have to do with intrinsic
but there
desires.
are victims. Oh, it doesn't matter. So the victims have zero.
That's not what I'm
importance
saying.
to you. Zero
That's
value,
not what I'm saying.
Right?
I'm
what
saying your argument is non
It
sequitur.
doesn't matter.
That's not what I'm saying.
That is
Child
what
abuse
you said.
matters. That's not the point. The entire point is
prove it.
It matters under my moral view, correct? So what I'm trying to say is
you're playing games, right? You're saying, yeah, child abuse is bad, but we need to prove child abuse is bad. Look, what on earth are you talking about, right? What kind of insane, crazy person would need proof that suffering is bad, right? You'd have to be completely insane. And it's a waste of time, focusing on those who are so brain dead that they don't understand that child abuse is bad. Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, hey James, how you doing today, man? I got a question for you about child abuse. Why is child abuse bad?
Because it's painful for the child, right? It's horrible, it's unbearable, it's nasty, right? It makes them suffer.
Sure. What makes it unbearable and nasty?
The suffering.
What is the violation?
Mostly the suffering.
Sure. Why does the suffering occur?
The suffering occurs because we've evolved to be able to suffer as we've gotten more complex. But this only benefits the lucky ones.
I would push back on that one a little bit. I would say that I suspect the reason that we don't agree with child abuse as a society is because it violates the autonomy of the children. It is imposing things on the children that they are not consenting.
So if they agree, then you support child abuse?
I would say that children can't meaningfully agree. That is one of the reasons why.
So then how is this important? How is this relevant then?
How is this important? Because I think that you're dodging acknowledging that
how is consent
suffering is bad
to child abuse, right? There's obviously no
well, because using forceful total extinction is just as much a violation of autonomy as child abuse is, right? So if the solution to the problem is... we should be prepared
to do anything to end all suffering, though. So we shouldn't tie ourselves or be binded by rules that allow suffering.
Why is that?
Because it causes and allows suffering.
So you're saying
we shouldn't end all suffering because it would be like evil to do so. It's going to cause some
suffering. I am saying that your inability to define suffering beyond a tautology is preventing us from looking at what is actually going on underneath the hood of suffering.
So why do we need to look under the hood? Like, if you want to do that, go and watch some child abuse, right?
What?
We don't need to look, right? We don't need to watch that. We know it's happening. We know it's unacceptable. So
No,
what are you
looking under the
talking
hood,
about?
examining the principles.
Do you? So you need proof
What?
that child abuse is bad?
No, I don't need proof that
So
child
what are you
abuse is
talking
bad. I
about?
can understand
So what
it
are you
pretty
talking about?
intuitively.
What are you talking about?
What I am saying is that your solution to the problem is opening up a can of worms of additional problems
Why?
and just as violative
How? Explain.
because forceful total extinction also removes autonomy, which I would say is the vast majority of the case, if not every case, one of the roots of suffering.
So why
one of the
is
reasons why we view
allowing
suffering as bad?
so why is preserving autonomy more important than providing safety from torture?
Why is preserving autonomy more important than providing safety from torture?
Yeah.
Because if there is no autonomy, that is just as bad as suffering.
So why? How? So if there's nothing to suffer and there's no autonomy, there's no life, there's no suffering, why is the lack of autonomy like the worst thing possible? It's worse than child abuse not existing.
Well, I think that we're ultimately having the break here because you are prioritizing the lack of suffering being above all else, while I am prioritizing
I'm asking you a question. I'm
maximization
asking
of
why
autonomy.
autonomy is so valuable. Why is it more valuable than safety from suffering?
Because safety from suffering, or suffering itself, is a violation of autonomy.
You're not making sense. So we're saying that we shouldn't allow child abuse, right? And you're saying that that would take away from the autonomy of the child abusers, right?
I am saying that
we should preserve the autonomy and the freedom
is
of the child abusers, because you can't take away autonomy if it's to prevent suffering. You can't stop a child abuser and their autonomy to prevent the suffering. This is a stupid mentality, right? This is literally saying, let people do whatever they want. If they want to abuse children, then who cares? Hello, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah, I've been up here before, man. You got me thinking, like a month ago, right? And I've been like honestly doing a little bit of research, using your websites and stuff like that. Yeah, so to end all suffering for all life, right? That's the goal.
Yeah.
And that's the only way would be extinction, right?
That's it.
We can agree with that. I mean, like, that's logic, right? Clearly, if you make all life go extinct, that ends all metrics of every value of life. So the problem that I have with this, though, right, is that it's unobtainable. You wouldn't be able to get to a point on this planet to where you would be effective enough to completely 100% snuff all life out.
Why not?
The human body would not survive if the ecosystem collapses once you begin to eradicate all life, right? Like,
Well, yeah,
you would get to a
we
point where the
already account
population.
for that. We already account for that. So we should remove our dependence on the environment while removing it as well.
But to even get to that point, the movement would be snuffed out before it could truly catch track, and that's
How do you know
without.
this? How have you divined this information?
You would have to assuming that you would probably use like AI, right? Modern technology
Yeah,
combined
so
with
you said
really
that the
advanced.
movement will be snuffed out. So where did you learn this? Who told you this?
It's simple math. How can you convince
what
the
math?
entire planet to carry on your torch if they're pushing back constantly?
We're not planning on doing that.
What would be the plan then?
So you really think we need 100% agreement, right? You think that's like even feasible, right? Obviously, it's not possible. So we shouldn't plan to do that.
Then who's to say after everybody that starts this movement carries it on, right? Years and years later, after they perish, there's still a group of people that don't agree with this, right? How can you guarantee that they carry through with your plan?
Well, we're not asking people to do it optionally. Did you not read the forceful bit? It's the very first word.
But to do it forcefully, you would have to do it very, very quickly, right?
No, we
Like
wouldn't. No, that's not correct. Look, you're making a lot of conjecture here for no reason.
Or I guess just explain then what is the exact scenario to how you would do it?
We don't need to focus on that, right? We need to determine the best way to do extinction, but we know that it's already very possible and easy, right? You can use euthanasia for animals. People already do that every day, so we could
I
start
guess what
extinction
I'm
immediately.
okay, I hear you, right? I guess where I'm coming from is like, I'm not just talking about large animals. I'm talking about single cell organisms. I'm talking about, like bacteria,
Yeah,
microscopic
so we use
life,
science. We use science, right? Look, you've got hand soap, you've got UV light, so you've got loads of ways to deal with microorganisms.
but to eradicate 100% of all microorganisms from the planet Earth.
We've got all the
You
time
really
in the
think that
world to
that's
do
possible?
it. We've got all the time in the world to do it. Look, we've had the internet for 30 years. We've got millions of years to do this. So you're being very narrow-minded, short-sighted, right? You're limiting your thinking to today's technology and basically trying to arrogantly predict what is possible in the future.
That's fair. I guess, do you think that our species will survive millions of years from now?
Yeah, and we're going to try and, keep that happening, right? So if nobody else reproduces, we will.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we'll agree to disagree. I don't believe our species will survive millions of years from now. But
I mean, it doesn't have to be millions of years, right? We could potentially do extinction within 1,000 years.
I mean, we're on track to kind of eradicate human life by about 500 years at this current rate of
Right,
pollution,
but
etc. So like,
animals will continue to suffer for millions of years unless we help them.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's because suffering is subjective, right? So like,
Look, we get it. You don't care about the sufferers, right? It's just say that and let's move on. Okay, moving on. We have Ezra coming up next, and anybody else that wants to join, let's get you in the queue.
No, I made you a song.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait.
James. James.
Yo, thank you.
I'm speechless.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ezra, everybody. Round of applause. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, if anybody else has a wonderful contribution, would like to sing about extinction, or even myself, yeah, come up, why not? Okay, but let's get some more debates going. Let's get some more discussions about why extinction is the right thing to do. So again, a lot of people, they would allow suffering. We will not allow suffering. I think that's kind of one of the main differences, is if you think suffering is acceptable or not. If you think that, there's anything that could possibly make up for forcing somebody to live the worst life ever lived with the most pain ever felt. And that world record for worst life ever lived will probably be broken again in the future, right? For all we know, it gets broken every day. Just constantly terrible lives going on, and the worst lives. So is there anything that we could possibly justify that? Is it not obvious that we shouldn't allow innocent animals and people to be forced into the worst lives ever lived with the most excruciating pain? A lot of people say we shouldn't focus on the extreme examples. That's just an extreme example. But again, that's just saying, who cares about the extreme sufferers, right? Just, the more extreme their suffering is, the worse their life is, the less we should care about them. Oh, that's just an extreme example. So that's the way this world works. The more you suffer, the worse your life is, the less people care about you, the more reason they find to blame you, to criticize you, and to ignore you. And if we mention, those who are suffering through the worst lives right now, people will say, aha, what an extreme example, right? What a joke to even mention those suffering the worst suffering right now. Ha! You think we should talk about those who are worst off? what a crazy person to consider those who are worst off. What a crazy, terrible example you're using for suffering, right? You're using those who are suffering the worst as an example. Ha! What a crazy way to argue against suffering, pointing out just how bad it can be. So, the reality is that they find it really difficult to argue against the reality, the truth, and extreme suffering. So they would rather argue against a stubbed toe or suffering in the gym or, suffering through school to go on and have a great life. They're not able to argue against extreme suffering. And if you bring it up, they'll laugh you out of the room, or basically they'll try and gaslight you and say, we shouldn't care about those who face the worst suffering. That's just an extreme example. That should always be ignored, always be allowed, never be considered, right? They're saying it's not even valid to consider those who suffer the worst. That, it's a desperate and pathetic attempt to, explain suffering. Okay, let's get some more people in the queue. We do not have many people in the queue right now, so let's get some more debates, more challenges. Can you argue against extinction? Can you convince me I'm wrong? Look, the first person, when I joined the movement, it was explained to me. And I said, okay, you know what? Yeah, this is right. So let's see if you can get me to disagree with extinction, to support something else, right? I'm an open-minded person. So let's hear your argument. Okay, moving on. We've got Jesus Christ.
Hello, James.
How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, do you feel like living today, mate?
I feel like having some good conversations with good people. So we're going to move on. We've got Mr. in the queue. We've got Oil Civvy. Bringing them up to the extinction zone. Hello. 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 Echo. Hello. No? Okay, a lot of people do join by accident. It's understandable. Okay, we've got some sort of Arabic person, perhaps. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, how are you? Do you have any questions for us today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks.
What topics do you debate about?
So our movement is growing to get more people helping to end all suffering with total extinction. So we're looking for people that agree that extreme suffering is unacceptable and that we should make it impossible so that it doesn't happen anymore, to make the world safe from people being forced to exist, being born into terrible lives. So the only way to do that is with total extinction.
I mean, that's a pretty extreme take, don't you think, total extinction?
Well, the suffering is extreme.
Define the suffering. There's many different types of suffering.
Well, just all of it, right? So if you think of all of the worst types, right, that's all going to be allowed. All of the really bad types of suffering will be allowed unless we do total extinction. So, yeah, it all has to go.
Do you believe in an afterlife?
No.
Hell or heaven?
No.
That makes sense. Because a lot of people that suffer rely on hope that there's afterlife. And in
But
the
a lot of
afterlife,
religious people also justify the suffering of others by saying that God allows it, right? So when someone violently rapes a baby to death, religious people will say, well, that's part of God's plan. So they justify child abuse, basically.
no, but these people are sick in the head if they justify
Right, but
something.
that's why we should have total extinction, so that there is no more cruelty ever again.
So total extinction for the whole human population?
Animals, humans, everything.
So you think you need to stop existing?
Yeah, everything needs to stop existing, right? We will suffer if we don't.
So in this case, you're saying that everyone, all 7 point whatever billion people in the world are suffering.
Aha, you've made the classic straw man. So we don't have to leave it for everyone to be suffering before we start care about if they are suffering. So without realizing it, you've implied that you wouldn't care if 99% of the population is begging for help. You would only care if it's everyone. right? So
No.
we shouldn't let morality have to be everyone before we care if they're begging for help, right? So even one person suffering is too many, right? We shouldn't leave it to be everyone before we help protect them from suffering. Even one is too many.
I mean, if I'm in a position to help 5 people who are suffering, I would. In that
Right,
case,
but we're all in a position to help make suffering impossible. And total extinction is the only way to do that, to provide the most safety possible from extreme suffering and bad lives.
I think that's a very cowardly take,
Why?
with all due respect.
It's an intelligent take, right? That there is no way to prevent suffering without extinction.
You can definitely limit suffering. I mean,
Yeah, but again,
there's
like
organizations.
you wouldn't limit slavery, you wouldn't reduce slavery, you would end it, and you should do the same with extreme cruelty.
Okay, but I agree. 100% you should do the same with extreme cruelty. But what percentage of population go through extreme cruelty?
Lots
Let's
of
say,
them, right?
let's say 1% go through extreme cruelty. That 99% who aren't can help that 1%, rather than just killing everyone.
That's not, you're not living in the real world, right? The thing is, as long as life exists, suffering will exist, and that's not fair.
So you're anti-lifeist or whatever.
Yeah, we're anti-suffering, right? And that means being anti-life, right? We're in favor of safety from suffering, making sure that nobody's being tortured, making sure there is no child abuse, no animal abuse, right?
What's the opposite of
most people
suffering?
don't care if this stuff exists. They don't care if children get abused. But we believe it should be impossible, right? We shouldn't allow it anymore.
Let me ask you a question. What's the opposite of suffering? Prosperity?
I don't know. Like, what does it matter?
I'm just trying to get at a point here.
I don't know. Pleasure, maybe?
No, pleasure is more dopamine related, I guess.
Okay.
Prosperity.
It doesn't
so-
matter. Look,
I
happiness
think you're
doesn't
looking at the
justify
cup half
suffering.
empty.
Happiness does not justify suffering, because by that logic, if a child abuser is having a really great time, then it makes up for the fact that he's abusing his victim, right? It doesn't, right? The extreme cruelty cannot be justified by happiness.
It seems that you're very set on your position here.
It seems like you have no counter argument.
I mean, I've been trying, but you're very set on killing the whole world population.
Well, you instead of counter argumenting right now, you're complaining about wimpy things.
All right. You're
All right,
interesting
thanks for
discussion.
coming up. It's been great. Look, a lot of people sometimes they can't say, "All right, you know what, you win. I gotta go." They'll rather say, "Oh, you're never going to change your mind," instead of having a counter argument. Hello, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So, how is your argument any different than Hitler's?
Hitler didn't want to end all suffering.
No, he just wanted to end a certain group, but functionally, your argument is to take away the agency of everyone who does want to live and who chooses to live for the
Yeah, but
people that
look
they
what
love.
they're doing with that agency, right? They're raping children, they're abusing animals and eating them. So that agency,
Everyone is doing that?
it doesn't have to be everyone, right? If 99% were doing it, if 1% were doing it, it's still unacceptable.
So, using your argument, why don't you go get a weapon and end your parents' life right now, since they're probably going to suffer at some point in their life?
Because we need more humans right now so that we can do animal extinction first. The more humans, the better, the more capable we will be of doing extinction for other life before we help ourselves.
So, you want to have a systemic destruction of all animal life. And I think your argument doesn't hold water when you look at it on its own, because when you look at it, what you just said, you want to have more humans that support your position so you can kill all animals who are completely and utterly innocent,
But they're
but
suffering.
you don't
They're
want to
suffering.
enact your
They're
actual
suffering.
beliefs. Sure. Listen, I was raised in an abusive home.
So you're
I had a
complaining
very
that they're
difficult.
innocent, and then in the next breath you'll say you don't care if they're suffering.
No, I didn't
It's
say.
kind of
When did I say?
hypocritical.
When did
don't
I
you
say
think?
I don't care?
You're trying to claim the moral high ground, but then you come
No.
up with really callous.
When did I say I did? When did I say I didn't care? Of
You
course
were
I
like,
did.
huh, sure.
What I'm trying to assert here is that your argument doesn't actually mean you doing anything. You
You
want to
don't
make
need
an
to tell
argument.
me. You don't need to tell me that you're trying to assert this or that. Just tell me your counter argument.
So here's my counter argument. Using your logic, based on the things that I've been through, the suffering that I've endured in my life. I should be a part
Well,
of your
no, we,
belief
we, we
system.
shouldn't rely on personal experience, right? We should rely on what's actually going on in the world, right? A lot of people
Okay,
come
so
up here and say, "Well, I don't suffer." Well, there's other people out there as well. You can't just ignore them.
of course. And so in using your argument, why wouldn't you then enact your belief system now based on what you're
We
saying,
are,
which
we
by
are.
the
We're
way
doing
is
it right now. We
identical to Mao and Hitler and Stalin.
Yeah, the guy's trolling. All right, there's nothing identical at all, right? Mao, Stalin, and Hitler, they were not saying nobody deserves to suffer. We should make everybody safe. That's just ridiculous. Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Cool. Allow me to make an analogy, right? But maybe I can ask you a question first. Do you think that when people commit crimes, that causes someone else to suffer?
Sometimes, yeah, not always.
No, not always. Can you think of an example of a crime where nobody suffers?
Yeah, I mean, there are thought crimes, right?
No. Crimes which are on the statute book as crimes for which you can get prosecuted and sent to prison. Are there any crimes where someone commits them and nobody suffers?
Yeah.
Could you give me an example?
Like when somebody uploads revenge porn, but nobody sees it.
Well, if nobody sees it, then the person won't be prosecuted. Can you think of any examples where somebody's?
That's
can
not
you
correct.
think of any? Can you
That's
think
not
of any?
correct. That's not. We have to correct you on that. That you can still be prosecuted even if nobody sees it.
But the intention was presumably to make somebody suffer.
Not necessarily, no.
So why did the person do it?
Well, what if they wanted to share it with their friends?
Why does it?
You're being very narrow-minded, right?
Why does it include
You're not
the word
considering
revenge?
all of the possibilities.
Why does it include the word revenge if it doesn't entail suffering?
That's the legal term for it.
Okay, so people are sent to prison and they're fined and they're given community service for committing crimes and so on, right? Okay, and some of those, and we execute some people for some of those crimes.
I'm waiting to hear a point.
Yeah, okay, so the point is, do you think a society would be better if we eliminated all crime?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so shouldn't we execute everybody that commits any crime, including parking on the double yellow line, carrying marijuana, uploading revenge porn that nobody sees? Presumably we should execute all of the people that commit that, because that would eliminate all crime.
I mean, to be fair, if you get rid of all crime, then actually there would be some really serious downsides to that, right? Like, for example, if doing activism becomes against the law, then yeah, you'd want some criminals out there.
But you would remove, so all of the suffering that would be caused by some crime, right? So for example, some crimes cause suffering. If I mug an old lady, she suffers. If I rob a shopkeeper 1 mile
I
apart,
feel
he
like
suffers.
you have some kind of point at the back of your head. Can we just...
No, the point is this. I think what you're doing with suffering. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm arguing that crime isn't a monolith. It includes a lot of things. It includes serial killing.
But the thing, it's not actually helpful to talk about it, like to use an analogy like that, because you're not dealing with the actual real thing. You're dealing with something completely different.
I think you made a video a couple of days ago where you made an argument about it's not a good idea to argue about the idea of the good in life outweighing the suffering. You remember making a video like that, right?
You'd have to be more specific. But
I think you made a video in which you made a remark. You had a problem with the idea of the word. What was it? No, you didn't say outweigh. You said balance out. So you said you're not comfortable with the idea of saying we shouldn't work to end all suffering on the basis that the good in life balances out the suffering. So you had a problem with that idea, right?
Well, a lot of people think that there's some kind of magical balance in the world where suffering is okay because it magically balances out with happy people. But that's just a complete fantasy.
So nothing in your calculations when you come to your conclusion, there's no ledger, there's no balance.
Well, what kind of balance can there be between a child abuser and his victim, right?
Right. So
a little while ago, there was happiness and joy and pleasure that he can
a few minutes ago, a guy was speaking, and you were talking about suffering, and you immediately went for sustained child abuse. So,
right, look, people just have a problem arguing against the examples I give them, right? It doesn't matter if I say child abuse or animal abuse or elderly abuse. Just roll with it, for crying out loud. Stop playing word games. Percy Rogers, how you doing?
Hey, James, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
I kind of generally agree with your prompt, but I always enjoy tuning in and like trying to come up with challenges for you, even though you always shoot them down. But that's totally fine. I just like the to think things through. It's entertaining for me. I think it's interesting. But I was just kind of curious, and I think I've heard you talk on this before. But like, what if, for example, in a controlled, think of maybe a society where things are a little more tightly controlled, right? And
suffering is still possible, right?
It is still possible.
Our standard is certainty of safety, 100%.
But my only counter argument there is, if you could get suffering down to a threshold that is acceptable,
it's not possible. It's physically impossible. You can't, as long as life exists, there is infinite danger.
I don't think it's impossible, but I think it would be. I think it would be insanely difficult.
No,
yeah, I mean,
Percy,
it would be virtually impossible.
It is impossible, right? Because even just logically, it doesn't make sense that you could ever limit suffering, right? It can always go wrong, right? Your entire system, which you've got set up to do this, can go completely wrong. Unless you know everything, then it can go infinitely wrong in infinite different ways.
Yeah, I mean, fair. I guess.
Think of it this way: look, would you step into a simulation if it wasn't 100% safe? If there was a chance that you could be tortured for billions of years, right? Horrifically.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that. I get your point, like that theoretically, you could set up an environment where you think X is going to happen, and you can't account for all variables, and Y being maybe above your acceptable.
Life does not need to exist without certainty of safety. It just doesn't.
No, I
and it shouldn't.
I hear you. I just think it's an interesting, you could do a probability analysis on it and come to a pretty close level.
It could be 0 point infinite zeros and then a 1 on the end. It could be the tiniest chance. We shouldn't do it. And you also can't limit it to 0.000 whatever.
I don't think you
could
either.
Again,
I don't think
without
you could either.
omniscience, there is infinite danger, infinite risk, infinite possibilities. Unless you know everything, then there is infinite unknowns, infinite risk. You cannot limit it, right? It is.
Sure. Yeah,
you would need omniscience to say I can limit it 100%.
I'm not debating with you on that, but I guess the first thing that comes to mind though is and I know other folks have brought it up, but if some folks genuinely did want to live and didn't, fall into the they didn't want.
We shouldn't let them. We shouldn't let them,
extinction.
Right? Because if
but I'm saying, but wouldn't you be causing theoretically suffering that you're trying to prevent?
Worse suffering?
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. I mean,
what's 60 seconds of euthanasia, right? Or even being stabbed to death, right? What's that compared to an entire lifetime of suffering? It's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, certainly on the scale that we have it in today's world, certainly. I mean, I can't disagree with you on that, but I'm just thinking theoretically. That's all. But
that's fair enough.
I see your point.
It's good that you're thinking. It's good that you're thinking it through.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Percy Rogers or Perk Rogers. Look, I do like to remind people that when I joined the movement, it did take me, a good 3 or 4 months and even longer to fully understand the concepts and to be able to debate them properly. And yeah, the more, the longer you're in the movement, the more activism you do, obviously the better you'll get. And so at the start, I was asking a lot of stupid questions and embarrassing questions, right, to the other activists in the movement when I first joined. So you do have to do it. Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Hello.
I hope you're doing well. I have. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
I think that the quickest way. Well, I have quickest way to the extinction goal would be sharks with lasers on their heads.
Okay.
That would work.
Do you
Sharks
have
with
any
lasers on their
scientific
heads.
papers backing this up or anything?
No, it was in a documentary I saw.
James Bond?
Sharks with
I've seen that
lasers on
one.
their heads.
Yeah. All right, thank
Yeah,
you for
that's
coming up. All right, we have nobody in the queue right now, so let's get some more challengers, some more confident and arrogant people. Not necessarily the last guy, but let's get some more people in the queue. Come on, let's hear your opinions. Let's hear you debate
Hey
against
James.
extinction.
Hey
Yeah,
James.
hey, how you doing?
I'm getting a haircut at the moment, but see,
Amazing.
you've been very rude to me recently. You know it's MB. Why did you? I actually asked that guy a genuine question. He kicked me off his live earlier because he told me last week that he was the one who originally got you into this whole pro extinction thing.
Who
Is
said
his
that?
name Luke? Luke.
Oh, yeah, Luke, yeah.
How old is Luke?
You know, I'm not 100% sure. I think they're like 19 or something.
You're not taking tabs on like the person who's practically indoctrinated you into this, James.
I'm what?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, just how are you gonna force total extinction?
We'll find a way, however we can.
Yeah. So why are you going off a hypothetical?
What hypothetical?
You can't even make it happen, so...
Oh, well, why not? We're going to try. We're going to try and find a way.
And you think going on TikTok live debating about it is the way?
Well, how else would you do it?
To be fair, I've seen a few CapCut edits of you. Is that classed as a movement, James?
Yeah, a movement is made up of people that grow the movement and get more people that are willing to carry out total extinction. Yeah, look, we're willing to do it by
What would you like?
our own
What
hands,
rank
right,
would
if we
you
have
like
to.
to be in the hierarchy of it all? Like
Say
by the
again?
end, like
What's that?
in like 20 years' time, where do you want to be on like the hierarchy?
Well,
Of like leading this mission.
Yeah, I mean,
As
hopefully,
the
like,
collective.
ideally, I'll be running the world. I'll at least be Prime Minister of the UK, and we'll be starting to carry out extinction, right? Putting people out of their misery.
Who's gonna let you in number 10?
Hopefully, the people, the good people of the UK, the good British people.
I am British, mate.
Yeah, no, we're actually planning to do a revolution, right? To take force, to take power by force, rather. So, we don't expect people to just let us do extinction. We are going to have to force it onto them. And now the plan is to get enough people together in the movement until we can take over the world, start running it ethically, and start to do extinction for animals and other life. We can't realistically do a proper extinction unless we are the government. So that is a necessary stage. We're not going to be doing extinction against a government which is trying to stop us and to arrest us. So we're not going to be doing that realistically. I mean, there's a very small chance of that happening. I suppose everything is on the table. All options are to be considered. So there's basically nothing that we would rule out, right? Cruelty, causing suffering, we don't want to, but we should be prepared to do anything to end all suffering, right? There's nothing that you can really do to cause suffering which is going to be worse than all of the suffering that's going on already. Within reason, obviously. We should try and do it ethically if we can. Hello, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So, yeah, totally new to this live here. What's going on? What do you mean forceful total extinction? What the?
Yeah, the suffering in the world is not acceptable. We shouldn't allow, extreme suffering anymore. Child abuse, animal abuse, people to have to live with depression and chronic pain,
Okay, that one. Oh,
disabilities.
well, depression. Depression cannot be right next to this. I mean, there are plenty of ways you can negate suffering before you just kill everybody.
Yeah, but we shouldn't try to reduce suffering. We should, prevent it, because if you
But
still
okay,
allow it, then
a
it's
quick
not
question: are
fair.
you suffering yourself? Like, are you suffering in this world? Are you happy, or are you pretty bummed out?
I've got a cold at the minute.
You got a cold?
Yeah, so I'm suffering a little bit, but
That's not
others.
suffering. You could take medicine. You can take medication, and then
It
within a
is
week's
a type
time,
of
that
suffering.
suffering will go away.
It is a
So
form of suffering.
if
But
there's
others are
if there
obviously
is an
suffering worse.
if there's an eternal suffering, I would agree with you. But there is no such thing as eternal suffering. The fact that we suffer is the only reason why we feel joy. So getting rid of
So
suffering gets
suffering's
rid of joy
okay
as well.
unless it's eternal.
I would agree. Yeah, unless you
So,
have
so
a
you
set.
don't think child abuse is bad unless it's eternal?
I think it's bad, but I think
Why?
it'd be much worse if it was eternal.
Yeah, obviously, but that's just obvious, isn't it?
But there's therapy. There is it takes years. It will change
What
someone's
about
psyche
those
for
that
the
get
rest of their
murdered?
life.
What
But
about the babies that get raped to death? Is that okay? Should we allow that?
of course we shouldn't allow that. But
Okay, so
why
total
is
extinction.
so then we should kill everybody? That just doesn't make any sense. I mean, you could
Why?
you could hopefully
What's wrong with putting everyone to sleep to prevent suffering?
because you could put all this same effort into mental health awareness, mental health
Right,
facilities.
but
We
that
still have
allows
such a
suffering to
low
continue on forever for
acknowledgement
billions of more years.
for billions. You think it's going to take billions of years to get some better therapy, brother? What are you talking about?
So you think better therapy will cure cancer?
I think better medicine could cure cancer. What do you mean?
Okay,
Like there
but do
are
you
advances
think?
we can
All right,
still
let me
make.
ask you this: do you think it's possible to make suffering physically impossible without extinction?
Suffering physically impossible? No, because I think suffering is necessary for human
So
experience.
what about extreme suffering and lives of pure hell? Do you think it's possible to make that physically impossible without extinction?
I mean, I would assume so. I think if you can
You
get
assume so.
if you can get humanity to a
So
point
you
where
don't want to think about it.
I don't want to think about it. I was more thinking about the hopes would be
So you're dodging
the
the
world
question.
comes together,
You're
creates
dodging the
kind of a
question. Are you
unified
dodging the
nation,
question?
and with I'm not dodging the question. I'm saying that
So look, we're asking: is it
you could spend this effort, all this effort of
Sam?
total.
Okay, Sam has dodged the question, right? So look, we have a lot of people dodging questions because they know that if they do answer the question, their entire argument collapses into complete nothingness, right? That's what other possible reason could they have for dodging the question? So let's get a timer. Let's see how long it takes people to have to resort to dodging questions, okay? Let's get a timer up. Okay, and we're going to see how long it takes people, how long they can last in the extinction zone without actively resorting to dishonest, deception, gaslighting, dodging questions. So if they're dodging questions, then they are trying to gaslight. They are trying to get away from admitting the truth, and they're trying to get away from defending their position, because that's what these questions that are doing, that they're dodging. They're trying to essentially get them to defend their position, and they know they can't, so they will dodge the question. You absolutely can ask questions which completely destroy their entire argument, and they will dodge as soon as they can. All right, let's get a timer going, and then we'll see how long people can last, basically, without dodging questions. Okay, moving on. We've got more people in the queue. Let's get the debates going. And here we go. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. All right, so
Okay,
stopwatch is starting now.
Okay, so my question to you is, if you can't logically explain how any of this is realistic and even possible, what's the point of even taking this stance?
We can explain how it's realistic and possible.
No, you can't. There's no way. We haven't even explored the vast majority of the seafloor on this planet. Like, there's no way that you can successfully eradicate all life off of Earth.
How do you know?
We haven't even explored the vast majority of the seafloor on this planet.
So how does that make it physically impossible to do extinction?
Because you would never be able to eradicate all of life off of the planet.
Why not though?
Because we don't even know all of the life on the planet.
But what we know today doesn't limit us, right? We can find out tomorrow.
No, I mean, I'm not saying this is not something that we could find out, but the odds of finding all life.
Well, no, you are. You're saying it's physically impossible because we don't know how to do it today, which just doesn't make sense. It's like, obviously we can find out how to do it.
Well, you used hand soap and UV light as a way to get rid of all bacteria and viruses on Earth, and that just seems
Yeah,
nonsensical.
that was a joke. Did you think I was serious?
I mean, all of this seems like a joke, to be honest, but
Okay, so that sounds like you don't want to engage with it seriously.
I mean, I am engaging with you
Well,
seriously.
you're saying, it's just a joke. So instead of actually having a counter argument, you can say, it's just a joke.
I've answered.
So look, let's hear why you think. Look, so you've said it would be impossible to make all life go extinct because we can't do it today, and that unless we can do it today, it's impossible we could do it tomorrow. So that's just doesn't really make any sense now, does it?
Well, that's kind of hyperbolic. Like, if we can't do it today, what makes you think we're going to magically be able to do it tomorrow?
I don't, but we should try to do it.
And then on top of that, humans weren't needed for life to exist and evolve on this planet in the first place. So why do you think it's up to humans to get rid of all life? And how do you know that's going to be permanent?
Well, because we know there is no other life that can do it, and we don't know that it will be permanent, but we should do our best to see that it is.
So you don't know if it's going to be permanent. You don't know if it's possible. And then on top of that, you're forcing people to agree to something that might increase the suffering of others, especially if one person doesn't want to go through with this. And I don't know, let's say their family member does.
Well, yeah, but that,
and then their
that's
family
suffering.
member, let me finish. And then their family member goes off
Well,
and
no,
like,
I don't have to let you finish, right? So that suffering, the family members grieving, that's nothing compared to billions of years of suffering, and it's also nothing compared to what those people could suffer as well. Right? A little bit of boo-hoo, Bobby's gone, right? That's nothing compared to being tortured horrifically, and begging for death for your entire life. So, they're really privileged to think that a bit of grief and boo-hoo for Bobby is, extreme suffering. Right? We shouldn't allow child abuse, animal abuse, just because it will make somebody go boo-hoo, Bobby. Right? That's a ridiculous argument, and we're going to move on. Now, she was sort of dodging, but we're not going to count it as officially dodging questions. She was dodging reason, I guess, right? Dodging being intelligent. Okay, let's move on. We've got Sam again. Hello.
I'm back.
Okay,
Yeah, I just want to know what question did I dodge, because I will answer it if you'd like me to.
Well, that's I can't remember. So let's move on. So why do you think extinction is wrong?
Like I said, I think in order to feel pure joy, you have to at one point feel sadness and suffering, in my opinion. So I think to get rid of suffering isn't creating a wanted experience. You're creating just nothing, and that's pretty useless, in my opinion. I don't know.
Well,
I just don't
you
get
don't
it.
think anybody wants to stop existing? You don't think it would benefit?
I think
anyone?
several people do. I would never argue that. I think
So
a
do
lot
you
of
think
people are down
extinction
and
would
out for
benefit
sure.
some? You think you acknowledge extinction would benefit many?
I think it would benefit nature only. I don't think people themselves. would be much
So it
better
wouldn't
off.
benefit those who don't want to be alive. It wouldn't benefit babies that get raped to death violently. You don't think?
I think, like I said, therapy is going to help that the most.
So you think therapy can help a baby that's been raped to death?
No, you didn't mention the death the first part, but I think
I did.
You sure didn't, but I mean, if you
I
want,
definitely did.
Either way,
Are you gonna stand
then
by that?
nothing will help that baby. If then extinction wouldn't help that baby because the baby's
Why?
already dead. What is extinction going to do for that baby?
Well,
What are you
no,
talking?
it
Are you talking
prevents
about a
it from-
future
from
baby that
having
could
to
possibly
suffer.
be?
Sam is making the mistake of thinking that as long as you kill the baby after raping it, then it's okay. Right?
No,
Sam? Isn't that
that's not
correct?
what I'm saying. You
just said that. Yeah, it's good. It's dead. So what's the problem?
I'm
Well,
saying
the
that if
suffering
you,
that happened
I'm saying
before
that
it
if
is the
you
problem.
extinct the world, what difference did it make for that baby? Like, what difference
prevents
did it
them
make?
from being born and raped to death.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm asking, or do you meaning a future or a present baby? And that's what now you're answering as a future baby. So now you're trying to make it seem like I'm talking about the
You're
present
having
baby.
like a psychotic break or something. Okay, we're just going to move on to somebody else. All right, so let's get some more people in the queue. Let's get some more debates and conversations going. Hello, Fergus. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? So
Good,
yeah,
thank
I'm just
you.
trying to wrap my brain around all this. So it seems pretty extreme.
Well,
Pretty
suffering is extreme.
Suffering is extreme. There's arguments that suffering leads to compassion. That's how we understand how to care about each other.
So we should allow children to be raped to death so that we can have compassion.
No, well, I don't think that.
That's what your argument sounds like. Do you not realize that? You're
hold on,
saying
let me talk.
suffering is good, cruelty is good because it gives us compassion. If someone rapes a child to death, that's good. We get compassion out of it. That's all that matters. Is that how you think?
No. I think you're missing tons of nuance. I think
Like
you're
what?
very,
Like
it's a
what?
very, there's no nuance at all in your argument.
Give us some
Because
nuance.
one bad thing happens to one baby, we take every
Do you
baby.
think that's the
Hold on,
case? Is that
let me
only
finish.
one bad thing happens to
Let me
one baby?
finish. I'm using.
You're not living in the real world. Okay. Okay, let's move on. We've got Ellie Davis coming up next. And yeah, let's get some more people in the queue. Let's get some more conversations going. Hello, how you doing?
Good day.
You good? Do you have any questions? We can't hear you, no. All right, let's see if we have...
WhatsApp and you disconnected me.
Yeah, that's
You
better.
disconnected me from the group.
Okay, yeah.
Can you hear me
Probably
now?
for a reason. What?
Yes, I was telling you before you disconnected me from the group that the right procedures to be taken for global annihilation is not this right step you are taking currently. I have better solutions. I offered to show it to you, but you refused.
I'm sure your alternative solutions are amazing, and you can present them by making videos and growing your own movement, right? If you want to start promagic.com, there's nothing stopping you from registering that website, starting to make videos for it. Okay, let's see. We've got number 6 in the queue. Bringing them up next. Let's see what Mr. 6 has to say. Hello.
I just got a question, right? Since you want total extinction, right? Would you be supporting of like a world? You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Can you? Okay. Would you support like World War III? So like potentially a nuclear
No.
fallout?
So we don't want to do it through war. We want to do it through a structured and organized way. So we have to be the government, and then we have to do animal extinction in an organized and normal, intelligent way, right? So not with.
Let's say that was not going to happen. This is all just a hypothetical, right? Then
No,
would
so
you?
we are trying to grow the movement to make total extinction possible. We have to do it for the sufferers, right?
Okay. Okay. Cool. I guess that's all I wanted to ask, really.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, the thing is, our objective is the most fast and thorough extinction possible. So that means pushing science and technology to their limits to make sure that we do the best extinction, provide the most safety from suffering possible for as much of the world as possible. That's what it means, effectively. So that's why we have to continue on. We need a stable civilization to do the science properly. Hello.
Hello. I genuinely want to know, how would you do it? How would it work?
Euthanasia, basically. So for animals, we can probably use gas or something similar to that. And yeah, similar methods for humans as well.
So the entire population just dies out?
Yeah.
So for what goal? What's the goal?
No more suffering, right? A suffering-free world.
So all animals die, all humans die, so that the planet can live?
No, not. It's nothing to do with the planet. It's so that they don't have to live a terrible life anymore, right? So there's lots of people that don't want to be alive. There's lots of animals that are being abused. So we shouldn't allow suffering and lives of hell anymore.
Do you believe in God?
No.
That explains it.
So yeah, believing in God makes you think that we shouldn't end child abuse, right?
Pardon?
I said, yeah, believing in God makes you think that child abuse is okay, right? That we don't need to stop it.
No, I think you're an absolute dangerous person.
How? So
You're a
allowing
very
child
dangerous
abuse,
person.
animal abuse, that's not as dangerous as ending it? That doesn't make
No,
any sense.
you are a dangerous person. You are spreading hate, and you are
Hate.
spreading dangerous lies.
We're saying that nobody deserves to suffer. How is that hatred?
Nobody deserves to suffer, but if you don't believe in God, then you've got a twisted mind.
Look, your God put pedophiles and children on the same planet and gave them free will, right? So you have no moral high ground at all. Sam, welcome back.
I'm back. I'd like to ask you a question real quick, because I feel like you'd like to box people in anytime someone disagrees with you and you say, oh, so you're okay with the baby analogy. You use that baby analogy a lot, I've noticed, with like several people.
Like I said, it doesn't matter. If I say child abuse, you might as well think of animal abuse or elderly abuse.
No, and I get that. I wasn't saying that. I'm saying that, but in your point of view, you're killing more babies than my point of view. If I say keep it the way it is.
Extinction leads to less baby death.
No, because at one point you're going to kill millions of babies. That's that.
Right.
There is one
But
point where you have to
but
kill
that
more babies
prevents
than
that prevents
the present
billions of
day could ever
years
do.
prevents billions of years of more suffering and protects those babies from suffering as well.
Sure. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is, why are we killing the animals themselves? I thought your problem was animal abuse, not.
No, animals suffer, like from nature.
Right, but that's the point of animals. Like, they don't feel the same. They don't comprehend suffering as you and me. Like,
Well, no, they do suffer terribly, though.
Because of us, I'd say, if anything,
No,
like
no, no.
because
So
of pollution,
they
maybe
get
like
illnesses.
losing their environments, but like in their setting.
Look, the idea that animals don't suffer is for truly brain dead people, right? So some people, they saw the idea of extinction and that animal suffering is wrong, and they thought, you know what? Let's just say that animals never suffer, right? That's a really smart position. Like, this is just stupid, right? Anyone that thinks that animals don't suffer, you'd have to be insane, right? You'd have to either be evil or stupid, or both. Okay, we've got not many people in the queue, so we need more volunteers to debate. We've got lots of people, criticizing me in the chat. Say it to my face, right? Let's debate mano a mano. Come on up, press the button. Let's see if there's anything interesting in the chat. How can anyone say animals don't suffer? Yeah, it's crazy. And people also think that animals don't suffer in nature, right? That an animal only suffers if it's at the hands of a human. So if a human eats an animal alive, that's not okay, that's evil. But if an animal eats another animal alive, suddenly the one being eaten alive doesn't feel as much pain. That's what people think, that it's more painful to be eaten by a human than it is by an animal, right? This is just insane, guys, right? This is just insane. If you really think that it's less painful to be eaten by an animal than by a human, then there is something wrong with you. And if you think that animals starving to death don't suffer, then you're scientifically ignorant, right? You're completely insane. The idea that animals don't suffer is just so backwards, right? But they have evolved to suffer, right? The suffering is there for a very good biological reason. Not that it's a good reason, right? But biologically it's there because it has to be for life to survive. But, obviously, and that's not a gotcha moment, like, oh my God, he said it. He said that suffering has to be there for life to survive. Because look, that only benefits the lucky ones, right? For 99% of life or more, the ability to suffer just traps you in a prison of torture for your entire life. Look, most animals get eaten alive as babies, right? Would you want that to happen? Would you want someone you care about to have to, be tortured like that, to go through the stress, the fear, the misery of being a baby animal trying to survive and then being hunted and running for your life, being eaten alive? That's, people are very quick to dismiss that and say, oh, they love it. They love being eaten alive, right? They get off on it. No, they really don't. Believe me, look, if you think animals don't mind being eaten alive, then you just imagine a human eating one alive, right? It's obviously not okay. It's not better just because it's a human. So once again, we do not have anybody in the queue. People are very shy today. So let's get more people joining up. Hello.
Hi again.
Yeah, hi.
Okay, so I just wanted to go over what we talked about earlier, right? Just so I can recap. You basically said that you don't know for sure if this plan would work in the long
Well, how
run,
could
like
we know?
after.
How could we know that?
Oh, let me just finish. You basically said that you don't know if this would actually work after this, mass extinction because,
How can you know anything? How can you know anything for sure?
well, because humans weren't needed for life to evolve on Earth in the first
That
place.
doesn't answer the question. So in terms of how can we know if extinction will work, you saying humans weren't needed for life existing is not relevant. You're not answering the question. You're talking about something completely different.
No, I'm answering
So
your question
we're
because
gonna
you're trying
call
to.
that at 25 seconds for dodging the question.
I did not dodge your question. I'm literally
No.
answering your question. You're saying that you have a plan, but you're telling me that you don't know if it would even be successful in the long run.
But you've
And on
dodged
top
about
of
5
that,
questions now.
you said that you were okay with suffering while the plan was being executed because it was
What's wrong
okay
with
as
that?
long as it's leading to the end of suffering that you yourself don't know would actually last, because humans can't really decide whether or
So we
not
shouldn't
life
even
will
try.
evolve.
You think we shouldn't even try to end suffering?
I'm saying that you would be doing it with no real knowledge if it would work. So you
What do you
would be
mean? Not
causing
what?
suffering unnecessarily without
Listen.
any
Shut
clear.
up. Shut up for a
Don't
second,
tell me to
okay?
shut up. What the fuck?
Oh my god, this crazy bitch, right? Look, the thing is that you would have to be completely insane to desire 100% proof that it's going to work, right? What kind of person would say, "Oh, look, that child screaming across the street asking for help. We shouldn't help them because we don't have 100% certainty, right? God didn't come down, touch us on the forehead, and say, yes, if you cross the street to help that child, it will 100% work." Right? You won't fall over on the way crossing the road. You won't get hit by a truck, right? So I'm only going to help that child if God comes down and says, "My son, you are safe if you cross the road. You can help the child. I know you're afraid to cross the road and help the child, but I'm telling you right now, I'm going to show you the future. I'm going to show you that it will 100% work. You will cross that road safely and help the child." So that's what she wants, right? To help those who are suffering. She says, you have to know 100% it will work, right? So somebody screaming for help, she would say, God didn't tell me 100% that if I cross the road, I won't get hit by a car, so I'm not going to help you. So look, the idea that you would need to know 100% with certainty that extinction is going to work is insane, right? How could you possibly know that? Essentially, these people want us to guess the science, right? To think, oh yeah, we could definitely do total universe-wide extinction, right? They want us to say that instead of saying, we aren't sure how much we can do, we should find out. So when we say we should find out how much we can do, we should do our best, they say, no, that's stupid. Trying to do your best and just doing as much as you can, that's stupid. You have to commit to doing this right now in a way that you couldn't possibly know how to do it right now. And you have to have 100% certainty. Like, this is insane. This is literally saying we shouldn't try to stop child abuse and animal abuse because we don't know if we'll definitely do it. That's ridiculous, right? So fuck that woman. Hello, Ollie, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Of course, I agree with you. But what you said that to that woman, that was kind of misogynistic. So, like, don't call women bitches because it's misogynistic and hateful. So maybe just lower your tone a little bit. Like, be slightly nicer. Just don't tell them to shut up and stuff.
It's more their ideas that I'm angry with.
Okay. But yeah, just don't call them bitches and stuff as hateful and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, well, collateral damage. But I mean, look, I should try to be polite. But yeah, people say really stupid things sometimes, right? And what am I going to do? Just be a robot and not react?
Yeah, of course, but don't get too angry or just don't lose your mind and stuff. Just
thing is, to say that we shouldn't try to stop child abuse because we don't have 100% certainty that it'll work, right? That's it's such a dismissive and disgusting opinion that she came out with, right? That if a child needs help, you should only help them if God has proven to you that it will work, right? It's just such a disgusting mentality. So we should, call it out, right? We should say, yeah, that's disgusting, that's wrong.
I mean, fair enough, but just try to have a civil conversation,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I came up here to say, really. So yeah.
Fair point. Yeah, fair point. All right, let's see. We've got Sloopy coming up next. Moving on. Yeah, look, we'll try and keep it polite, but try and earn the respect as well. Hello, how you doing?
Hi. Yeah, that really pissed me off actually, because the thing is, I completely do understand a lot of what you say because, honestly, 2026, just awful. But a massive, massive part of the problem and suffering is misogyny and patriarchy. And you're laughing, okay? So that's
No,
cool.
You're
hang on,
to...
haven't finished.
Well, it's my show. I decide when you're finished. So look, people are always trying to target certain types of suffering and say that we should ignore other types of suffering. So saying, well, the only problem is sexism or this or that. No, children are being abused to death. They're getting cancer. They're suffering terribly. They're born with schizophrenia, brain damage, disability. So these people that think that suffering is only caused by bad people are some of the most ignorant people on the planet, right? You would have to essentially live with your head buried in the sand all day, every day, to not know that there is suffering out there which isn't caused by human hands, right? So like cancer, schizophrenia, injuries, accidents. These people saying that like suffering is only caused by people are just very, I don't know, like they're not living in the real world, right? And I think when it comes to the reality of suffering going on around the world, it's very shocking how many people, basically 99% of the population, doesn't understand suffering. They don't know what it is. They don't know if it's happening or not. They also don't care. They think animals don't suffer. They think that, child abuse is good for you, helps you grow as a person. So people's understanding of suffering and its effects, they're completely uneducated. Yeah, clueless, exactly, like horrifically clueless, right? People think that animals don't suffer. They think that child abuse makes you grow as a person. They think that, that every time somebody suffers horrifically, there's some sort of magical balance, whether it's God or karma or reincarnation. They will find any excuse to justify cruelty, right? Any excuse. Evolution, right? So we'll say, look, 200 children are born to a turtle, right? A sea turtle, and only one gets to live. The rest get eaten alive. And they'll say, yeah, that's good for evolution. So they just don't care how many innocent children are tortured, right? That they'll find any reason, like, evolution, yeah. But why do we need evolution, right? Evolution itself should not be some magical justification for animals suffering horrifically. Okay, we do not have anybody in the queue, so we're still looking for new volunteers. We're still looking for fresh faces, new opinions, new ideas. So let's hear it. Do you think we should support the end of all suffering? Do you think we should ignore it, right? A lot of people think suffering doesn't even matter. Who cares if it exists? Who cares if anybody suffers? And they think that, yeah, we should allow extreme cruelty, extreme suffering. So we are the only movement in the world that says we should not allow child abuse, right? And that's actually true. We are the only movement which says we should make child abuse physically impossible, right? Everyone else is saying, well, reduce it slightly, making it child abuse impossible, that's going too far. So we're saying, no, that's not going too far, right? We should make it impossible. So most people don't care though, right? They can't get over the fact that, video games exist. And so they've been corrupted in a way, right? They've allowed themselves to buy into the pleasures of the world and to just no longer care about anyone else, effectively. They're addicts to life and pleasure. And in the same way that a heroin addict is not going to care if anybody suffers around them, right? Or if they have to kill someone to get some heroin. Most people don't care about that happening in real life, right? If a heroin addict will allow suffering, they'll steal from people, and pro-lifers will abuse animals, eat them, allow them to suffer. Hello. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. How's it going?
Hi. I'm doing good. I'm just gonna be honest, I'm not pro-extinction. Honestly, I don't feel like I'm ready for a debate yet. I still need to study a little bit because I study before I debate. I just had a quick question on something.
Okay.
Do you have a statistic for how many people are like suicidal or would be pro this or something like that? Because I know part of this is that you have to force people into it, which, as you said before, cause suffering.
Yeah.
I just want to see if you have a statistic for how many would consider themselves unhappy enough to advocate for that.
I think we shouldn't really rely on statistics too much because that makes it sound like, well, as long as it's only 5%, then who cares if they suffer? So we shouldn't make it about how many are suffering. It should be about suffering shouldn't be allowed, even if it's only a minority. So yeah, the statistics are not that important. We know that there are people who are suicidal who don't want to be alive, right? We know there are people in bad lives. I don't see how the statistics really help. And yeah, they lie a lot, right? The statistics are often very inaccurate.
I'm not sure what statistics you guys get that. I usually like triple check my statistics, like fact basis. So I mean, the ones but I then had another like question. This is kind of just like to see like if you value this more than the other thing. Okay, so let's say the minority is the ones that's suffering. Let's say 5% as in your example. Would you like, let's say the other 95% are living happily, they're not experiencing anything bad, right?
Not right
Would
now,
it
but
be
they could do, right?
they could, but
And
we
lots
don't
of them
know.
probably will go on to as well, right?
But regardless of that, like I know like
Regardless, so
okay,
let's
how about
disregard the suffering. Let's
no,
forget
no,
about
let
it.
me okay, despite the fact that they're suffering, a lot of people I know that suffered, they still wouldn't like they still like literally have said to me, yeah, it's bad. Like I know people who've gone through who've been the kid who had to be split in a divorce, who like multiple things like that, and they still wouldn't like. A lot of them had regarded, like trying to kill themselves, but a lot of them now are like they're really
Look,
happy.
people have
They've
been
really gone over
programmed by
it.
nature to want to live, right? Even though it's against their own best interest. Because existing in infinite danger for the sake of a little bit of fun is not worth it. It's simply not worth it, right? No sane or rational person would agree to infinite, unlimited danger just for a short while of fun and fleeting fun and probably not a great life anyway, right? So most people are not having amazing lives, and the idea that these terrible lives somehow justify the even worse lives is a joke.
I'm trying to formulate something to say in my head. Okay, then so how do I put this? How are you sure these individuals are gonna have a bad life to begin with? I feel like these are a lot of assumptions you're going off of.
Well, no, so we shouldn't assume that they will have a good life. That's what you're doing, right? So the thing is that the responsible mentality is to consider the risks and the dangers. So it's not about assuming that they will suffer. It's about assuming that they can, well, knowing that they can suffer, basically.
I mean, but you also kind of assume that in the same sense how I
No,
assume they're
no,
gonna
no.
have
So
a good life.
suffering existing and the possibility of it is not an assumption, right? We know that there's a risk of suffering.
Yeah, we also know there's a risk, or not risk, there's also a chance they might live a good life peacefully.
Okay, so do you think that as long as somebody else is happy, it doesn't matter if somebody is tortured for their entire life?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying we should
Yeah, I'm
completely
asking you a
disregard
question.
the other
I'm asking
person.
you a question.
I'm sorry, could you re-say the
Yeah,
question?
do you think that if somebody is tortured for their entire life, it doesn't matter or it's okay as long as one other person is happy?
If it's an overwhelming majority that's happy, I feel
So
like
it's just
they
a
still
one-to-one. So just one person having an okay life, one person being tortured for their entire life. Do you think that's worth it?
if it's like 1-to-1, no. But
Okay,
I'm
so
pretty
what
sure
about
it's not one.
so we would say that it's never worth it, right? Now, do you have some sort of system for determining when it does become worth it?
Well, I mean, I don't believe
Is
there
it
is
that like
a
two
system
happy
that would
people?
determine.
Is it that two happy people means that you can, one child being abused to death is okay, or do you need three people happy to justify a child being abused to death, or is it four people that have to be happy? Five, maybe. Is there
I'd say around
is
6.
there a system like that works where as soon as you have 10 happy people, it no longer it's okay now that child got abused to death?
Well, okay, there's something I want to like make like put
Yeah.
a point out here. When I say like you can't like just remove all the other people just because like these people. I'm not saying that I disregard the other people's suffering. That is not what I'm saying. It is not okay in any way. But at the end of the day,
Is it
since
worth
you
it,
know
though?
how
Is
you
it
were
worth
saying,
it?
like for the better of all of us, if we look at the majority, you either take away all the other people's peacefulness while taking away everybody else's suffering. But in like the majority
So
of it,
if
it would be
it's
less.
unless it's the majority, it's okay. You think if 49% are begging for death, we shouldn't do extinction. We should keep them begging for death. Unless it's 51%, then we shouldn't do it. Is that what you think?
I'd say somewhere around like 40 would be a good like amount for then it would be a possible consideration.
So
But
if 39% of the population is begging for death for billions of years, that's it's worth it.
I feel like
You
that
think
would
that would be? Do
because
you
like
think that would be
1%
an
is like it's
acceptable
like a
system?
really high amount here.
Do
I
you think
feel
that would be an
like
acceptable system? If 39% of the population is tortured, that's okay. So look, you're proving that you have
know
no
what?
idea what you're talking about. Your principles, your morality are based on nothingness. He was like, yeah, 40% sounds like a good number. Let's go with that. So this is the level of consideration that people are applying to extreme suffering, animal abuse, children being murdered, raped to death, right? This is the level of consideration that they're putting into it. 40% of people being tortured, I don't know. What about 39%, right? That's easier to ignore, right? If it's 40%, it's still 40 is a strong number. 39, it's like it's like when you go to a shop and it's like 99.99 instead of $1 or $100, right? So yeah, let's go with 39%. That's people can accept that, right? The majority who are having a good time, they can accept it a lot easier. It's better for their mental comfort. 40%. It's a bit embarrassing, right? 39%, we can say, 39% of the population, who cares about them? So this is the mentality that people have, right? They literally see suffering as an inconvenience and something to just, whatever. Like, if it's the minority, who cares, basically. Hello, how you doing? Are you suffering?
Yes.
I'm sorry to hear that. Is it
I
extreme
fucking hate
suffering?
my dad.
What?
Fucking hate my dad. He fucked my mother. He brought me to life. And he calls me a loser every day.
I'm sorry
like
to hear
it's not
that.
his fault.
I'm sorry
I
to
wanna
hear
kill
that.
him.
It sounds terrible.
Ah.
Yeah, look, this is just a good example of the suffering that's going on around the world. Look, you've just heard a real example, real life scenario of suffering happening right now as we speak. So let's remember it's happening all around us. Hello, how you doing?
Do you believe in love?
Yeah, I love extinction.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
All right, thanks for coming up, Thomas Nash. Moving on, we have Cesar Rousseau coming into the extinction zone next. Bringing them up now. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Just finished work, and I was wondering, how do you think this should be carried out? Like, how do you think this should be planned out to have everyone, extinct?
Yeah, so we are growing the movement with peaceful activism until we have enough people to take over the world, start to run it in an ethical way, which has to happen anyway. And then we start doing animal extinction and researching how to do a permanent extinction, make the world uninhabitable, see if we can do beyond Earth as well. So do as much as we can for the prevention of life existing as thoroughly as possible and for as much of the world as possible. We should let the science determine what the limits of that are. So, I mean, we can start with animal extinction today if we were in power. It's just euthanasia. It's pretty simple. But we should also be researching total prevention of life, how to make the world uninhabitable and stuff like that.
So you think that, what problem do you think this would solve?
Suffering, bad lives,
Aren't there any better ways of doing this?
No, so we've looked into it, and there is no other way to make suffering impossible. As long as life exists, it will always have the ability to suffer and to be trapped in a life of hell, and where it would have
Agreed.
been better off not being born.
Yeah, but there's levels, right?
Well,
There's
it doesn't matter.
tolerable
It doesn't
suffering.
matter. Like if there's extreme suffering and there's less extreme suffering, we shouldn't allow the extreme suffering just because there's less extreme suffering.
Of course, yeah, we should try to, make sure that people are not in extreme suffering, but
Well, we should make suffering impossible, right? So people like
it's
yourself,
not. It's
people like
impossible
yourself don't
to.
care about that, right? We should have the highest safety possible from suffering. You would take away from that and put people into danger because you don't care about suffering.
But let's put it this way. So your father is old, and he dies because of old age.
Yeah.
And you're like, let's say 50, and you suffer. You suffer because you lost a friend, you lost a close person. That's a type of suffering, right?
There's lots of types of suffering.
Yeah, so that's what I'm getting at. It's hard to eliminate all suffering, and I don't think that's the
Right.
purpose
So
of.
extinction is the only way to make suffering impossible, right? To
But that,
guarantee no more victims, no more child abuse, no more animal abuse, no more depression, no more suicide, no more disability, chronic pain. So yeah, extinction is the only way to guarantee no suffering. And you're really deluding yourself if you think that there is another way. But most people don't even, most people do understand that you can't make suffering impossible without without extinction. They do understand that. They just don't care. So we should care. We shouldn't allow suffering. It's too extreme and terrible to allow. We can't allow it to be possible. And you allowing it to be possible is irresponsible, and it's not fair to the victims.
yeah, but I think it makes more sense to look for other ways of eliminating suffering than,
But there is no other way to make suffering impossible.
I mean, we could try. There are things that we could try.
The thing is, what you don't understand is that to make suffering impossible would require omniscience. So unless you know everything and you know that there are no unknowns, then the unknowns present infinite danger and infinite unknowns, and you can't control them. So you could have a great system, you could have a simulation, but if it's not 100% safe, it can go wrong, and you can be trapped in the life of pure hell for billions of years, or just the rest of your life, whatever. So it's not safe. The only safe thing is extinction. We should not be working towards having deficient standards for safety and allowing suffering, not caring if suffering happens. We should work towards the highest standard of safety from suffering, and that's the right thing to do for the victims, not to allow them to suffer, not to compromise on their safety, and not to allow extreme cruelty to continue.
Yeah. And do you think that this movement that you created will be successful?
We don't rely on predicting the future like that. We should just do our best. The people that say that you need 100% certainty if this plan is going to work are cowards, basically.
Okay, but I think you could still think what you're thinking, like that we should all go extinct. You could still have that, but also try to change the world in a way that will eliminate more and more of the suffering that's
That's our plan.
happening.
That's our plan. But we should focus on ending suffering, right? We should not focus on
Yeah.
insufficient safety, partial safety. We should focus on complete safety.
There's no such thing.
Extinction, right? Look, if I have a child today, it's
Yeah,
impossible
but that's
to guarantee its
ridiculous.
safety.
You see how that is ridiculous?
I'm talking. So if you have a child today or any time, it's impossible to guarantee their safety. Whereas if you don't have them, then you guarantee that they don't suffer. So there's nothing ridiculous about that.
Well, I mean, you cannot have a world where there's no suffering, where there's no
Extinction.
no pain.
Look, there's
Yeah,
lots
but
of there's lots of planets out there with no life and no suffering. So you saying that's impossible is insane levels of ignorance. Ignorance. All right. Thank you, Cesar, for coming up. All right, moving on. We are probably going to call it there for today, guys, unless we get more people in the queue. Right? We are struggling for debaters. We're getting the bottom of the barrel at the minute. So yeah, unless we get more people in the queue, we might have to call it, or potentially even worse than that, I might have to do a monologue. I might have to educate you on extinction, and we know that people don't want that. They'll, yap yap, blab blab. That's what they'll say. Jenny Wren in the chat is asking to be brought up. Now, for some people that have new accounts on TikTok, it's difficult to join a live stream. So if you can't see the button to request to join, then there's a good chance that TikTok doesn't allow you to live stream just yet. So for everyone else, if you can see this button right here, then yeah, join it, press it, slap that button like you'd slap your own mother, and we'll get you into the queue, we'll get you debating. What's the debate topic? Is whether or not we should end all suffering with total extinction. Jenny says she's requested, but we're not able to see her in the queue for some reason. Okay. Oh, thank you, Cora. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, James. Doing well. How about you?
Good, thank you.
Good. I'm the one who you added to the second extinction group and got rejected somehow.
Sorry to hear that.
Without. I just wished I got an explanation for why I got rejected, because you told me that you would help me out and give me a chance to, do some work and prove, my work.
For being spiritual. So we don't allow spiritualists in the movement, unfortunately. It's atheists only, like hard atheists only. People that believe in like fairy tales, we can't trust them to be responsible enough to end suffering.
So even though I meant like by spiritual, like believing in unseen forces like dark energy and stuff like that.
Exactly. So any kind of spiritual stuff, we see it as being irrational and dangerous, basically.
Okay, I see. Okay, so you don't believe in forces that we cannot detect by physics?
No. So look, there is a subreddit for spiritual extinctionists. If you search universal extinction on Reddit, you'll find it. But ironically, that's the same name I have for my YouTube channel, but it's not the same thing. So if you're a religious person or a spiritual person that supports extinction, go and find the subreddit. But unfortunately, we do not support that kind of stuff here. Our movement is based on rationality, logic, responsibility, practicality, not fairy tales and, what if, Jesus thinks that the suffering is okay or anything like that. So anything that takes away from operating in a logical way, right? And thinking, yes, that's the reality, that's how it actually works. That's what we need to be responsible for ending suffering. If you believe in fairy tales, then, we can't trust you, right? You, for all we know, you could start telling people that, Jesus is going to do extinction. So we only accept atheists into the movement. Right, we still are struggling to get more people in the queue. People are very shy for some reason today. But let's see. We've got Danny7 coming up next. Hello.
Hello, yeah. How is mass extinction rational? How is it rational? How is it a rational way of ending suffering?
Because it's saying that suffering is not acceptable, right? Child abuse is not acceptable. We cannot allow it. So everyone knows that, child abuse should be unacceptable. The rational thing to do is to make it impossible.
So is suffering the only important thing in life? What about happiness? What about joy? Other things like
so
why do you
if you don't care about suffering and you only care about happiness, then the type of person that does that, they support child abuse, right? Because they don't care about the suffering of the victim. They care about the happiness of the attacker, the child abuser, right? The pedophile. So we shouldn't care about just happiness at any cost, right? Because then you end up supporting child abuse, animal abuse, right?
So we should look at everything from the bad aspect, the bad angle, right?
Absolutely. Yes, you have to focus on what can go wrong if you're going to be responsible, right? To be responsible for life, you have to consider if it's safe, if it's going to suffer, if it's acceptable for it to suffer. And the answer is no, right?
And you don't think anything can go wrong with your mass extinction plan or movement or,
Of course, yeah, of course. Lots of stuff could go wrong, but we still have to try anyway, right? If you don't try to do the right thing, then the bad things will win.
So to you now, mass extinction is the right thing to do, while to others, there are other ways of changing suffering and other things. So why should your opinion or your movement outweigh other people?
We're not outweighing them. They've been invited to come and convince us that extinction is wrong, but so we're allowing them. We're not outweighing them, but they've not been able to convince us that suffering should be allowed. So they're allowed to explain why child abuse should be allowed, but nobody's been able to do it
Child abuse is
successfully.
obviously not, it's something that happens, but it's not something like
It's
any
just something that
sentence.
happens. Yeah, who cares? It's just something that happens. Child abuse. That's
You're
just
saying
something
it
that
as if
that's just something that
if
happens.
it was in my
That's
power,
just a little bit of
obviously
child abuse. That's just it just happens.
obviously if I had the power to stop it, I would.
Yeah,
But I
the
don't.
guy that says child abuse, that just happens. Yeah, I really believe he cares enough to stop child abuse.
So mass
Look,
extinction is
Danny, you're not gonna trick us into thinking that you're a good person, right? Especially when you're like, who cares about child abuse, right? We can see through your lies. Hello, how you doing?
How you doing, man? Honestly, I think the reason why people can't fathom what you're talking about is because first I want to say that the technicality of the situation is that you're not wrong. Like everybody, and when I really thought about it, it does make sense that a lot of people have to go. Like evil people,
Everyone has to
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they just gotta go because in reality, suffering is always going to exist. So I can genuinely understand what you're like where you're coming from. But at the same time, I feel like before we consider doing that, I think there's an alternative, but people will still can I say the word die? People will die. People will die. In the idea that I have, people will ultimately still die in the alternative.
And suffer,
Right? Yeah. They will suffer it. So
for us, it's not acceptable. It doesn't matter if there's heaven, utopia. If it relies on child abuse, we're not going to allow it.
Right, of course. So the alternative that I was thinking was attacking the hierarchy in the system of worldwide, because I feel like
so look, communism does not solve suffering. Basically,
right.
Nothing can. There is nothing that can make suffering impossible. And so you can say, yeah, let's have a better world, a perfect world, but unless there's certainty of safety, we're not going to allow it.
Right. So you're saying that attacking I feel like 90%, or no, I think it would be higher percentage of suffering is caused by people who are in power.
No. So most suffering is caused by nature. Most suffering is animals eating each other, starving to death. And even for humans, most suffering is also still caused by the situation, right? That the fact that they've been forced into life. So it doesn't matter if there's billionaires or not, people are going to suffer either way, right? A baby dying from terminal cancer doesn't care if there's billionaires in the world or not.
Right. You know when you speak about babies who are being born with all these defects and all these different things that are wrong with them, I thought about that, and it's like, why are these babies being born with these different illnesses or sicknesses, right? And I think the reason why that this is happening is because of it's like genetics, and not what genetics, but mostly
it's not just about that. Like, it's not just your genetics. Like, look, as long as life exists, it will be able to suffer to with no limits, right? Infinite potential of suffering. So the only solution to that is extinction. You either have extinction or you have infinite potential of suffering, and the unlucky ones will always pay the ultimate price. So we care about the unlucky ones, And we're
Of
not going to
course.
throw them to the wind, throw them to the wolves, just so that others can have fun, which they don't need to anyway.
Oh yeah, for sure. That doesn't make any sense anyway. I mean, obviously, suffering is bad. Like altogether, suffering is bad, and it should not outweigh people who are, oh yeah, I'm having a good ass time, but then somebody is being bombed currently in Syria. Like I understand that, so I can totally get where you're coming from. In my mind, I was thinking about the hierarchy part, but that also makes sense with the sicknesses and the illnesses and all these different things is 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 also another part of suffering. Um, so yeah, okay, I get what I get where you're coming from.
Thank you, Sia. And one other thing for you to think about is that, look, you can say, well, look, suffering is reducing, technology is getting better. That same technology is being used for evil things, right? So as technology has advanced, it has increased the cruelty to farmed animals, right? So they're now getting packed into tighter and tighter cages. They're being pumped full of chemicals now. All sorts of horrible things are being done with new science and technology. It's being used for evil, right? You've got the internet being used for good. And then you've got pedophiles creating an industry out of child abuse using the internet, right? Selling it to people all around the world and making sure that more happens because there's now global demand for it. So, think about how technology can be used for bad things as well. Think about how, there's going to be super torture in the future, right? You could potentially trap someone in a hell simulation for millions of years or something. Unless people are trying to stop this from happening, then we're risking it happening, right? So let's say that we manage to do total extinction for Earth, like 1,000 years from now. Let's say that's it. The job is done. We've done universe extinction. Right, there's going to be less suffering with that than allowing life for billions of years, right? If you allow life to just continue on and you don't care if it suffers, there's going to be super torture. There's going to be all sorts of horrible things. The world record for most pain and worst life ever lived will be broken. It will continue to be broken. And you can say, well, what if we get the chance of someone breaking the world record for worst life ever lived? What if we get that down so that, over the next 1,000 years, there's only a half of the chance previously that someone's going to break that world record again, have a terrible life? I would say no, 0 chance is better, right? We shouldn't say, reduce the chance of someone being tortured for their whole life when you can end it, right? This is not something that we can accept. We can't use and accept suffering for the happiness of others. It's cruel. It's horrific. Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Oh, I finally came up. So thank you for bringing me up. A couple of maybe weeks ago, I saw you and I trolled you. I was like, this guy is nuts, times exponentially. And the more I think about it, the more, of course, your idea is very, very radical, and we all agree. But when I think, one of the reasons I stopped believing in God, I became like a real devout atheist. I have no beef with God. I just don't believe anymore. Is because of the suffering of children, the trafficking of children, the victimization of children, the abject poverty that we see all around the world. In Africa, I see some videos in India. They're almost like it can't enter your brain the
It's
way
not
people
worth
are.
it. It's just not worth it. It's too terrible.
Yes. I am for, in North Korea, South Korea, the women are going on no schmecks, not having children. So I think we can start small. Stop having children. We can stop having children.
So the thing is about antinatalism and not having children.
Antinatalism, yes, that's the word I was looking
The
for.
problem with it is that it's discrimination against animals, and it also doesn't work. So voluntary extinction will never happen. It's not. Yeah, if the extinction isn't forceful, then it will never happen, basically.
But that's violent. If you say the extinction should be forceful,
exactly
it is
we have to use force to defend people from suffering. Otherwise, violence and force will be used against them to make them suffer.
But remember, it is being used in a very subtle and overt way to a lot of people. A lot of people.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Like in war-torn zones in Chad or the Congo, there are violent extinctions going on right now. Peoples are being exterminated
So
because of their.
extinction is not really happening much right now. It applies to the entire species, right? You're talking about genocides, so that's a different thing.
Yes. Okay, but it's a radical view, and it's not one that I'm totally 100% with. But you have a point that the world is a very, very insufferable place.
Well,
for a lot of people.
if you would protect your child from having to be born, why shouldn't
Yeah.
we protect everyone else's?
Even when I think about it, it's skewed and it's a very, very radical idea. But the thing is, I live in America, I live in Florida, I have a nice house, I drive a nice car, I work nice, but I'm reminded every single day, especially when I come on the internet, that not everybody is living a charmed life. And if everybody can't live good, nobody should live good. That's my personal opinion.
So that's the way we are going to make sure that happens, right? We have to make sure that nobody suffers. We can't just leave it to chance.
Yeah, but Iran is gonna clear that up in a couple of weeks. So yeah, you might get lucky, sir.
Well, no, because a nuclear war would not cause total extinction. So again, we can't just leave it to chance and just go with a nuclear war when that's not actually going to cause total extinction. We have to do it properly. We have to take safety seriously, not just say, Iran's going to nuke everyone. That will solve suffering. Suffering isn't a joke, okay? It has to be taken seriously and solved in a serious and intelligent way.
Okay. All right. Okay. Very, very good perspective. And thank you for bringing me up. All right.
Thank you, Jenny. Okay, moving on. We finally have lots of people in the queue. I guess it's just that time of day. So let's get some more debates going. And thank you for the W host. That's always appreciated. All right, moving on. We've got lots of people in the queue. Let's get someone up.
Hi.
Hello, how you doing?
No, I don't really want to debate. I just want to say that you're like the best person ever, and I think that total extinction is the way to go. And I think that a nuclear war and all of that wouldn't work because it wouldn't kill all of us. And even if radiation happens, like the living
Chernobyl still has life, right? There's lots of animals
they
in
adapt.
Chernobyl.
They adapt. They do not die.
Exactly.
They adapt.
Yeah, they adapt. You've got insects, bacteria that will probably survive. And did you know that the last asteroid that smashed into the planet had the power of 1 billion nuclear bombs, and it still didn't cause total extinction? Life adapted, life survived. You've got life under the ocean. So nuclear war will never cause total extinction. We have to do it in a more intelligent way. We have to use science to find the way to do it.
I also think that mutation and adaptation will cause even more suffering because it will cause, So I think the best way to do it is to just start with the animals and then with humans, because us humans need animals to live, and animals suffer more because of humans.
Yeah, well, they also mostly suffer at nature, actually. So it's actually a myth. It's actually a myth that animals suffer more because of humans. As humanity has come in and wiped out their habitat and built data centers and cities and farming land, that actually reduces suffering. Because to kill the animal and get rid of them might cause a bit of suffering, but that they're going to kill each other anyway for years and years and years. So getting rid of the habitat, getting rid of the animals causes less suffering in the long term, basically. So humans don't actually cause much suffering. We actually just reduce it. And the more humans we have on the planet, the more we reduce wild animal suffering, the more we take down their forests and their places where they are forced to suffer.
Yeah, despite that, I still agree with you, W host, and I support you. Yeah, and success in the future. I support pro-extinction.
Well, thank you. I mean, really, it sounds like you pretty much understand everything perfectly for extinction. So, yeah, fantastic. Well done. And consider becoming an activist, right? You have the knowledge, you have the brains for it. So consider helping grow the movement, make videos. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, sir. How's it going, man?
Good, thank you.
I just want to say I didn't hear too much, but I support the cause. What's the logistics of this? Like, how are we
Growing
doing
the
this?
movement. So we're growing the movement, getting new activists on board until we have enough people to take over the world, start running it ethically, start doing animal extinction. and researching prevention of life ever coming back. And before finally moving on to human extinction, we should see if we could do beyond Earth as well before we take care of ourselves. So to do as much as we can. But the first step is to grow the movement with peaceful activism, get more people on. The more people we have, the sooner we can do extinction, the
Well,
sooner
I
we
mean,
can
like
make it happen.
the logistics of like rounding up every animal, and will we still be able to like farm after?
Yeah, I mean, you
And
don't
the
necessarily
logistics of
have to round them up. You can just get rid of them, right? You can use gas or something like that.
that would affect the environment too, though.
Yeah, and so the thing is that we need the environment to the extent that it allows us to continue surviving so that we can do a proper extinction, make sure that that we can find a way to make the planet uninhabitable. But, while we're doing that science, it does have to be habitable. So yeah, ideally, we'll be able to find ways to remove all of the animals and remove our dependence on them so that we don't need them anymore, so that we can have an animal-free planet as we continue to research how to do a thorough and permanent extinction to make sure life never comes back on Earth or anywhere else.
So it's like killing every ocean animal also?
Yeah.
And that would help the health of the Earth?
It's not about the Earth. The Earth doesn't have health, really. It doesn't have feelings. We get rid of the animals so that they don't have to suffer anymore. And yeah,
isn't an innate part of life also suffering, and that's the beauty of it, though?
It's not really beautiful, right? Like being eaten alive, being tortured, starving to death. These are actually ugly things, not beautiful.
Well, there are beautiful things in life also, and they can't the suffering can't diminish all of the beauty and intricacies
do you
of
think
living
any
life.
do you think any amount of suffering can eclipse any amount of happiness, or do you think that happiness has infinite value over suffering? Like, do you think if somebody enjoys child abuse, then it's okay because their happiness justifies the suffering?
I mean, no, but like, I don't think someone who got abused as a child should just die, and they should
a lot of them do
live
die.
life and
A lot of
find
them do
happiness.
die.
Okay,
A
well,
lot of them
then
get
that's their
murdered.
entire life, and their whole life was just suffering because they didn't
Yeah,
try
that
to find
happens all the
happiness.
time, right? A lot of people, a lot of animals, their entire life is just suffering, and it's not fair.
Okay. All right, bro.
All
get your
right,
bag.
all right. More support for total extinction. Thank you, Timmy. Look, the reality is that there is no argument against extinction, and most people will, either agree with it and say, yeah, fair enough, I can't really argue against that, or they'll be, less honest than that and say, oh, you're crazy. Hello, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So basically, you want humanity not to exist, or you don't want any life to exist.
Yeah, no animals, no humans, no aliens, no bacteria, no suffering, no possibility of suffering ever again.
That sounds depressing. Why?
What? No suffering ever again sounds depressing. I think that's actually the best, goal that we can work towards. Nobody suffering, right? Total fairness, no unfair cruelty and child abuse or animal abuse, right? How is that depressing that no animals will be abused ever again, no children will be abused ever again? That's something that we should celebrate.
Not really, because I think
So you think child abuse is good?
no. But
So you wouldn't
I
celebrate
mean,
the end of child abuse, but you don't think
I
it's...
would celebrate the end of child abuse. I would not celebrate the end of life because that is depressing.
So do you think that, like, it doesn't matter if anybody suffers?
It matters, but I also think I feel like suffering is part of life, and life
So
is not fair, and it's about accepting it and making the best out of it.
so
If you can
let's
help other
say
people that are suffering, go for
so
it.
let's
But
let's imagine for a second that you have a child and they end up getting kidnapped, and it turns out that they actually break the world record for worst life ever lived, the most times a child's ever been raped, the worst pain ever felt by any human ever in history. Would you say that it was worth it, so that others can have fun?
I think so. Not that they can have fun. Okay, hold
So
on.
your child gets raped
You
more than
kind of
any
added
child's ever been raped, and you just
kind
be
of
like,
threw
yeah,
that
you know
word
what,
in the end.
it's
Sorry.
worth it.
No, that's not what I meant. So You threw
But you
that
don't
word in the
care.
end, so I didn't really hear you. But my point is, I think
Okay, you don't have a point. All right, moving on. So yeah, she literally said, yeah, if my child gets raped more than any child's ever been raped, has the worst life ever, I wouldn't care. So what's wrong with these people?
Yo,
Hello, how
what's
you
up,
doing?
lad? How's it going? How's it going, James? James,
I'm
I
good,
think you're
thanks.
full of bullshit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, say again, do you have any questions?
I think you're just full of bullshit. Like, do you not like living life? Do you not like it? Do you not
Well,
like being on this
let's deal
earth?
with the logic. Let's deal with the actual argument here. So, should we allow extreme suffering?
You can't control extreme suffering,
How
Paul.
do you know?
Because no, Paul, you can't make decisions for others. Do you understand that?
Look, if I have a child
Do
right
you
now,
understand that you can't make decisions for others?
so if I have a child right now, I'm not making a decision for them.
Well, you're making the decision to have that child.
So you're not making the decision for the child. So you're not living in the real world, right? You're living in some fantasy world where people don't make decisions for others all the
But
time,
you're
all
living
day,
in a
every
fantasy
day. You're
world where you
living,
want
you're
everyone dead.
dreaming, you're in some sort of dreamscape. You're not living in the real world.
The real world is that we're all alive and none of us are dead. That's the real world here, and that this brutal life will keep happening. That's the reality of it.
Look, this guy has no actual intelligent thoughts. It's just, oh, that's just life. That's just the way it is. It's like, wow, such depth of intelligence and such moving, incredible arguments there. Hello, how you doing?
Man, do you support mass shooters?
No,
Why?
because we need more humans so that we can do animal extinction first.
Okay, well, I wanted to be one, but since you don't support them, how can I be an activist? I don't want life. I want total extinction, man.
Yeah, so we're doing activism to grow the movement so that we can get enough people together to make extinction possible, right? So that together we can carry out total extinction.
I want to help. How can I help?
Yeah, so making videos to grow the movement is the main type of help that people do. And so most people, they start making videos explaining that suffering is not acceptable, extinction's the only solution. And then, if you want to do other activism, then you can start thinking about other ways to do activism. But yeah, making videos is the main way, and that's
I
the
will
best way
make
to start.
videos, man. I'll make videos because I'm done.
Okay.
I don't wanna suffer, man.
Yeah, nobody should have to suffer.
Yeah, I don't want other people to suffer, man.
Exactly, right? We
Okay,
need to
done.
put them out of their misery, but we have to do animals first. If we have human extinction, then animals will continue to suffer for billions of years, and they'll probably evolve back into humans as well. So it doesn't make sense to leave the animals.
That's it, man. I love you. I'm gonna go.
All right, thank you. Moving on, we've got XD in the queue. Let's bring them up, and we've got Control Shift N. Let's see what they've got to say. Hello.
Fuck you, nigger, 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 nigger.
Wow. Okay. I think they were saying something about like make the movement bigger, 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 bigger. Make the pro-extinction movement bigger, right? Grow the pro-extinction movement. Make it bigger, 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 bigger. I think that's what he was saying, right? All right. Let's see. Nobody else in the queue right now, but yeah, let's make the movement bigger, 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 right? We have to do activism, grow the movement, make videos, educate people, right? Suffering's not acceptable. What do you mean suffering's acceptable? It's not, right? We have to tell them that it's not okay, right? Allowing innocent people and animals into a life of pure hell is not something that we should allow. It's as simple as that, right? Do not allow cruelty. Do not allow extreme suffering. Don't allow anyone to be in a life of pure hell. Okay? These are simple, obvious things. Okay? Okay, moving on. We have some people coming up. We've got Meldy King. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Yes, do you have any questions for us today?
Hello.
Yes, are you suffering? It sounds like your internet is going through extreme suffering right now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been through extreme suffering my whole life, and I understand where you're coming from. I didn't know anybody that even felt the same way like this, honestly. And I know a lot of other people that suffer too, and it seems like the happy people don't care, and it's sad. It really is, because there's many miserable people, and they just want to dope you up on medicine and send you in psych wards. I mean, it's like you're a bad person for not wanting to be alive.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And I think that it's a coping mechanism. They want to live in a fantasy where everything's good, life is good. They're not in a terrible situation full of suffering. They're not in a terrible world full of cruelty. They just want to ignore it, just pretend that, that none of
It's
this
not
is happening.
It's absolutely happening, and more than people ever know. I mean, a lot of people keep their feelings in. I mean, because it's like not accepted that you don't want to be alive
right? You
anymore.
have to hide it so that you don't lose your friends, you don't get fired.
Yeah,
etc.
pretend like you're okay, and you're not.
Yeah,
And a lot of people are not. And then, like the child abuse, animal abuse, I've seen it happen. And there's evil people out there that go along with it, and they're okay with everybody suffering, And I'm definitely for the movement, 100%.
Thank you for your support. I'll give you a follow, and consider joining our Discord, our WhatsApp group if you like. We'd be happy to welcome you.
Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing. It's I'm with you. So
thank you, Melody King. Thank you for the support. Yeah, look, there are lots of people and animals suffering out there, and we have to expose the reality, expose the truth. These people do exist, right? A lot of people are trying to come up with reasons and disgusting excuses to say, oh, it balances out, or they're not really suffering. Some people even say, like, well, when they die, they'll stop suffering, so who cares? So people's mentality and attitude towards suffering is just disgusting right now. They simply don't care about it. It's animalistic, it's immature, it's unethical. It's like being in a tribe of monkeys and trying to tell them to stop, abusing each other. You have to just make them go extinct. Hello.
Yeah, so what are you doing towards this extinction movement? Like, what are your steps towards it?
Yeah, growing the movement as much as we can. So we're doing that with videos, live streaming. We're making a podcast that has 28, 29 episodes so far. We've got our website. We're developing, new activists. We're teaching them to make videos and to help grow the movement. We have street events all over the world that we film. We do street interviews and debates. And, we're trying to get millions of views to grow the movement. My channel has something like 10 million views now. So we're learning, we're doing better, we're studying more ways to get more views. And we're also exploring other ways to grow the movement as well, such as reproduction, donating sperm, genetic programs, reproduction programs. So potentially in the future, we might be having like genetics programs where we're pumping out children, pumping out new extinctionists. It's going to be a lot of fun, to be honest. But yeah, we have to grow the movement in every way that we can. So we're growing it genetically, reproducing, growing it by making videos. And yeah, I think, exploring new ways to explain extinction and to help people understand that it is correct. As we become better at doing that and explaining it and communicating the message, that is also going to help, push us forward more, right? We're going to have more convincing arguments. We're going to have more experience at explaining why extinction is right. And yeah, this is the way the world is headed. This is the way the world is going. The more intelligent you are, the more likely you are to support extinction, and the more rational you are as well, particularly. So as humanity continues to evolve, gets more intelligent, and as they start to engineer their own genetics and try and make themselves more intelligent, we are all, every path leads to extinctionism, essentially.
And you don't think your movement will be met by any resistance in the future?
Yeah,
What's
there might be some resistance, but we just have to cross that bridge when we get to it, right? We have to be flexible. There's going to be lots of problems, lots of obstacles, and we just have to deal with all of them.
And lastly, I have a question, or more like a suggestion. Instead of total extinctions for humans, I don't know about animals, or for humans now, why don't you just give them a choice? Like you're not happy with your life, and
Because if you give them a choice,
just
then they will make the wrong choice. They will continue to live and suffer. They
who
will.
are you to tell them they're making the wrong choice? It's
Well,
their
we're
choice.
people, yeah. So they're not able to make an informed decision, right? They
How
cannot
do you
have.
know that?
They don't have informed consent, right? Because they're not able to consent to the risk and the danger of suffering. They don't understand it. They're not able to understand it. Basically, they don't know how much danger they're in. So to allow them to agree to that danger when they don't even understand it, it's not
Excuse me,
fair.
can you throw more light on they don't know how much danger they are in? Like, educate me. I want to know more about that.
Yeah, so like we're all in infinite danger, unlimited danger, right? You could break the world record for the most pain and the worst life ever lived. So that's pretty shocking danger. It can be even worse than that, right?
And I'm not aware of that. I don't know that. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that you can't limit the danger in this world, right? Only extinction can do that. While life exists, it will be in unlimited danger, infinite danger. Terrible things can happen to it, and you can never fully make it impossible for that not to happen,
So
right?
I think you should start by eliminating the danger around you yourself. Do you have a dog, a cat? You can start by, eliminating them. They're in infinite
Yeah,
danger.
so the thing is, individual actions like that, they don't really cause extinction. Those animals will just get replaced by other ones. So you have to work towards extinction in an intelligent way.
So you have family members, right? Do they know the type of danger they're in? You can start by helping them out.
Yeah, well, we need more humans right now, and we're against vigilante actions, right? We need to do extinction as a government. Otherwise, we'll never be able to do it properly.
Well, good luck with that, but it's crazy now.
All right, thank you. I would say that allowing suffering and ignoring suffering is crazy. Saying, who cares if children get abused? I'd say that's crazy, right? I'd say that's the crazier thing, the craziest thing. Fighting to make sure that no children get abused, no animals get abused. That's not crazy. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. Can you be in government in the future in 2029? Because you're.
Say again?
Can you be in government in 2029? Maybe.
Can we be the government?
Yeah, in 2029. You.
It sounds like you've got some microphone issues. I can't hear you properly. But yeah, we are growing the movement with peaceful activism until we have enough people to take over the world, whether it's by revolution or democracy. We'll find a way to do it. And yeah, that's it. Hello, how you doing? No? Yes? Hello? Do you have any questions?
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You said you're you're okay with people having kids now, like at the moment?
Yeah, we need to temporarily continue to reproduce until we complete animal extinction and, total prevention of life coming back as well. If humanity starts to decline in population, then we risk human extinction. We risk allowing life to continue suffering. And the more humans we have, the better.
So isn't the whole point to have human extinction? Like, why support having humans if suffering continue?
Yeah, so suffering will continue unless we have to do animal extinction first, right? The animals suffer too. They can't do their own extinction. Only we can do it for them. So we should help those that can't help themselves first before we turn to humanity.
So you wouldn't agree with the anti-natalist?
No, that's discrimination against animals. And also, antinatalism doesn't cause extinction
Okay.
anyway.
And
Right?
my other
Antinatalism
question.
literally leaves the world to horny sadists, right? It's like saying antinatalists are like, yeah, I'm smart enough to understand that suffering is bad and life, I shouldn't have a kid. So I'm just gonna, leave the world to people that don't care about suffering and will continue to reproduce. It doesn't make sense, right? If you should protect your own child from suffering, you should support protecting everyone's child from suffering. So yeah, antinatalism doesn't do
Okay.
enough. It really doesn't do enough. It doesn't help animals. It doesn't help those that would choose to keep reproducing. So you have to use force to defend the victims of suffering. That's why it has to be a forceful total extinction. Otherwise, they'll just choose to keep living and causing suffering, and it will just carry on forever.
Would you be against like taking yourself out of the equation, like suicide, in principle?
Yeah, because again, that doesn't help animals, right? So the more humans we have, the more we can help animals. And actually, the more humans we have, the less wild animals will suffer today. Because for every extra human, we take up lots of land, we chop down forests, and it means that there'll be less animals suffering there, right? There'll be less places for animals to be forced to suffer in, right? Less forests, less suffering. So the more humans, the better, the less animal suffering, and the more ability to end all suffering with total extinction, to scientifically do it in a correct way, an intelligent way. So the more humans, the more scientists we'll have, the faster our science and technology will progress, and the faster we can do the most advanced extinction possible, right? To provide as much safety for as much of the world as possible.
Okay. I'm an anti-natalist. So it just seems like you're prioritizing like animal suffering over humans because bringing new life into this world is always immoral. If you get my gist.
Why is it always immoral?
Because a person doesn't have a choice, and
so let's see. So
there is guaranteed suffering.
would you allow 1 billion children to be tortured to death if the only solution was to have a child?
I guess.
So look, your
I'd
rule
have a
doesn't
child
make
in
any
that
sense.
case.
Your rule doesn't make any sense, right? If we follow your rules and say, oh, you can't cause any suffering to end suffering, then guess what? That allows billions of years of extreme suffering just because you don't have the nerve, the backbone to do the right thing.
Okay. I guess let's agree to disagree.
That's not an argument.
Been nice. Yeah. Been nice chatting with you.
All right. Thanks for coming up. But yeah, think about it a bit more. Read our website, proextinction.com. It does make perfect sense. We've thought it through. We've investigated it. We've debated it. Okay, extinction is the right thing to do. Suffering should not be allowed, right? Do you really think we should allow innocent children and animals to be abused, to have terrible lives? No, right? Well, what's the point? Only an animal would think that life existing is more important than making sure that nobody is tortured, nobody has a bad life, right? Animals don't care if their victims have bad lives. Hello? Microphone problems again. Sounds like you're underwater. All right, the honey badger is asking to come up. Let's get them on next. The next debate begins. Hello.
Hey, man, what's up with you?
Yeah, I'm good, brother.
I hear you. You know what? I believe that you are correct. The entirety of the human race has been destroying itself for thousands of years. And we weren't the first ones here, and we will likely not be the last. I'm curious as to how you intend to do this. I do believe, I don't think it has to be forceful, because we are already doing it voluntarily.
No, we're not. We're not really, though. Like, not properly. So it does have to be forceful, right? You have to use force to defend the victims of suffering, otherwise force will be used against them to make them suffer.
Okay, well, my question is this. what would you need to do something like this? Extermination camps, or I mean, if it has to be forceful, then that requires military action or some other form of governmental action, and you have to force these people into these places to do that. And that was done
They
very.
don't look. We don't have to take them into a camp. We could just kill them on the spot. Okay, so there's no point prolonging the suffering, prolonging the exposure to suffering. Right? There's no point building camps and taking people there. That's just it complicates it. That's just an extra step for no reason.
Okay, well, how would you go about doing this? Is my biggest question.
However necessary, right? So we'll just find the best way to do it, and we'll do it.
I mean, would it be humane or inhumane?
Either way. So preferably humane, but if it has to be inhumane, then it's still better than allowing life and all of the suffering.
Okay, another question. Is there like a specific category of species that you would select to continue the human race?
No, I mean, we don't want anything to exist. We want a universe with no life and no possibility of life ever again.
Okay, well, what about the deer and the buffalo? Those are kept within the category of surviving, right? Because the Earth is one big living organism. So I agree that the human race shouldn't be here.
Well,
There's no
yeah, but
reason-
animals suffer too. So we are going to get rid of all of the animals, everything, right? Animals shouldn't be allowed to suffer, so we're not going to let them suffer.
But without life, the entire ecosystem would no longer exist.
Yeah, but who cares about the ecosystem? Fuck the ecosystem.
So existence, what you're saying, in such forms, existence totally does not matter. The existence
That's
of
it.
all
Yeah,
life.
the ecosystem existent don't need it, right? It's not worth it. If children and animals are getting abused, it's not worth it.
Okay, so what you're saying is nothing should essentially exist. Nothing.
Correct.
Like the experience of nothing, nothingness, no suffering, nothing. Right?
Yes, exactly.
You know what? That is an absolutely that's an incredible abstract idea, and I agree with it. I agree with it completely because everything suffers throughout its life, right? Everything suffers.
Yeah.
You know, so in order to eliminate all suffering, nothing needs to exist.
That's it.
Nothing
it's the only way.
Nothing is here to experience
Suffering.
anything. Nothing is here to. So it's nothingness. Nothing is here consciously to experience.
Yeah, it's think of it this way. It's like shutting down hell, right? We're effectively in hell. Most life here is suffering terribly, and we're closing down the meat grinder, closing down the circus, making sure it can't hurt anyone ever again.
Okay, one more question. Do you believe that there is other intelligent life out there other than us?
We don't know, but we do think that there will be life in the universe, and that we should try to make it go extinct.
Okay, you know what? You're not wrong. You know, because there is a lot of suffering in this world. Suffering, I believe, is what everything feeds off of. It feeds off suffering. It feeds off pain. It feeds off negativity.
Yeah, animals are just food on legs, basically. So, yeah, it's a bloodbath.
Yeah, in the end, we're eventually going to kill them and eat them anyways. Right? I mean, so...
Yeah, but look, the cycle of misery and suffering, we got to stop it. We got to actively stop it. We can't just leave it to chance, you know? We have to say, right, let's put them in.
My tiny, confused little brain cannot conceive the idea of not existing. And I think that's what scares most of us. We don't understand the collective consciousness, and we can't conceive the idea.
Well, imagine if this was the last thing you saw before extinction, right? Would you agree to it then?
Okay, elaborate for me, please.
No, I'm joking. But yeah, look, so it's not that difficult to imagine non-existence, right? Just try and remember before you were born. Remember before you were born, right? You can't.
That's
There'd
crazy.
be nothing.
I don't have any memory from before. I think I became conscious around maybe a year and a half old, right? And I didn't know anything about this world. I knew nothing that existed before it and nothing that was going to exist after it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. You know, so total extinction. All right. Well, thanks for coming up. Consider reading our website. Consider joining the movement. Maybe make videos to help us grow the movement, right? This is the ultimate intellectual position. It's that we have to end suffering. And so let's get together and do it, everyone, right? Let's grow the
Alright, hey yo,
movement.
send me a link, man. I'm interested. I want to read more about this.
Yeah, the link is on my profile. So if you just click on my profile, you can click on the button on the link. It will take to our website.
All right, man. Be safe out there, big dog.
All right. Thank you, Honey Badger. Give you a follow. All right. Have we got anybody else in the queue? Let's have a little look. Hello.
If you're willing to kiss me with that makeup, I'm joining your cause. That will be my last source of satisfaction.
Mwah, mwah,
Oh,
mwah,
yes,
mwah,
I'm
mwah.
in it, brother. I'm in it.
Yeah.
No
Mwah,
more
mwah,
antidepressants
mwah.
for me. No more nothing. I'll consume nothingness.
That's it.
I'm in
That's
it, brother.
it.
I
Yeah.
support you.
Support total extinction. Thank you. Look, I'll do anything for extinction, right? If I have to, whore myself out, then I'll do it if it'll cause total extinction. All right. I'll do anything, right? I would jump in front of your dad's ejaculation to prevent you from being born, right? I would do whatever it takes. We have to fight for total extinction no matter what, right? We have to be dedicated, prepared to sacrifice, right? To do horrible things, disgusting things, if necessary. Hopefully not, right? All right, let's see if we have anybody else in the queue. Let's try and get another conversation going. Let's see who we've got. Hello.
Oh my
how
god,
you
thank you
doing?
so much for putting me on. My first question is, can you hear me? Because I'm wearing AirPods and I don't know if
Yeah,
my...
loud and clear. Perfect.
Okay, well, I'm not here to debate you. I actually love your videos so much. And I respect you so much, dude. Like, thank you. Like, what you're doing is so inspirational. It's bringing me to tears.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Well,
my question is, what pushed you to the limit? Like, what made you want to do this? I really want to know how you suffered throughout your life.
Well,
If
at
you
one
can
point,
answer me.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is definitely the reason why I support extinction, but I do have empathy for others. And part of it is that, the one experience I did have at least was that when I was 18, I turned 18, and then for 3 years I had chronic pain. And it was so bad that I was basically just bedbound, and I couldn't even speak because I was in so much chronic pain all day, every day, my entire body just writhing in pain, basically. So I know what a life of pure hell can feel like, and I know that nobody should have to go through that and to be forced into it.
Okay, thank you so much for putting me on. I've been waiting forever. I'm your biggest fan, bro.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks for coming up. I'll give you a
Goodbye.
follow. Yeah, so it's a crazy story. I was at university. I was 18 years old. I was a little baby James, and I was halfway through my first year, and then I came down with this chronic pain, and my hands weren't working anymore, and I had to drop out of university. And then for 3 years, I was just at home, basically being looked after by family. I literally couldn't even speak, right? That was kind of the worst part about it, was that I couldn't even talk because my muscles were in so much pain all the time. Anyway, after 3 years, I magically got better around the Christmas of 2015. And yeah, but for those 3 years, it was, pure pain, pure misery, all day, every day. I was considering suicide, right? So yeah, when someone said we should end all extreme suffering and lives of pure hell, it was like, well, duh, of course we should. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, loud and clear. I'm a very, very big fan. I support your videos a lot, and also, you're very smart, but I have a question.
Okay.
What if, how are you sure that there's nothingness after we die? What if there's something else?
Yeah, we don't know, but in the same way that, we're not worried about, the flying spaghetti monster, we have to assume that there is nothing until there's evidence that there is, basically, right? Otherwise, you believe in everything, right? So don't believe in things, wait until there's evidence.
Okay, also I have another question.
Yeah.
What do you think about religion?
So I think it's a manifestation of genetic low intelligence, and I think that people actually evolved specifically to support religious ideas, right? The thing is that it's really confusing for people because they don't know anything about it. But basically, as humanity evolved, what benefited humanity and what stuck with the evolution and what features we adapted, a lot of them were actually bad for us. So things like being religious and things like being angry or being violent and being selfish. So all of these bad things are actually not there because we haven't found a better way yet, but they're there on purpose to keep us animalistic and to keep us surviving and reproducing like animals, basically. So it's being locked into an animalistic mentality, and religion helped that, right? That basically evolution found that the more spiritual, the more religious people were, the more likely they were to reproduce. And so, yeah, if you agree with religion, then it's something in your brain that makes you do that, right? The idea of religion, your brain likes it essentially, and it evolves to like it and to sustain it. So religion is a manifestation. It's not the problem, right? That's why religion exists. It's not because some evil people tricked everyone with religion. It's because everyone has the type of brain that agrees with religion. And because it's stupid, right? Because it leads to more reproduction and selfish survival.
And do you think that humans are alive for too long? Because do you think they should have been extinct like millions of years ago? You think
No,
we evolved too much?
humanity is the solution. We are the hope for animals, basically, right? Animals will continue to suffer for billions of years unless we stop it, right, with extinction. So in that sense, it's a good thing that humanity exists. We can help those that can't help themselves.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. And I think that's a really important thing, because we should be encouraging humanity to be better, right? Antinatalists are saying, humans are evil, get rid of them, stop having kids, do nothing, basically. But we should be encouraging people to help, right? To get active, right? To work towards a better world for everyone where there is no life, there is no suffering. So we have to take action, we have to do activism, we have to use our brains, we have to be better people, we have to be smart and powerful and compassionate, and we have to make the world better. We have to work to make sure there is no suffering, right? Antinatalism does nothing to do that. It doesn't help animals, it doesn't help anyone else's children, and it's effectively doing nothing and then pretending you've done everything. And they also put humans down, right? They say humans are the worst, get rid of them. But that doesn't help animals, right? Animals will suffer for millions and billions of years unless we help them. We are the only ones that can. We should be the heroes that save them. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, James. Again, good morning. Yes, I am against it, right? I'm against what you're saying, and I think what extinction exactly, who or which should be extinct, Mr. James?
Yeah, it's total extinction, so we shouldn't choose which animals to make extinct. All of them should go extinct. Anyway, so thanks everyone. I've got to get going now. The girlfriend is waiting for me. So, yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow probably. And if you want to read the website, the link is on my profile on TikTok, along with the link to our Discord server. And we also have a link to our WhatsApp group. That's on the website itself. And if you have any other questions, you can message me directly on TikTok. But the most important thing is to make videos, grow the movement, become an activist, help us get closer to being able to carry out total extinction. We have to get more activists to make that possible. So start doing your activism today. Start thinking of ways to grow the movement. Start educating people that extreme suffering and lives of pure hell shouldn't be allowed anymore, that it's not acceptable, it's not worth it. So help us grow the movement with these powerful messages of protecting every life form from suffering, right? Making sure there is no animal abuse, no cruelty, no suffering, no lives of pure hell ever again, no simulation in the future where someone's trapped and being tortured for millions of years because they have the technology to keep you alive and suffering for longer, right? Let's stop all suffering. Let's be against all of it. Join us today. All right, thanks everyone.